Oh my God.
Good timing, Brian. All right.
I'm gonna unwrap my sandwich.
Welcome, everybody, to our broadcast today of the Texas Rangers visiting the San Diego Padres.
In case you've missed the past 3 games, I don't know how you could have missed the past 3 games because it's been basically the talk of baseball, the talk of good things about baseball, anyways. The beginning part of this 4-game series, the Padres had Fernando Tatis Jr. hitting 2 home runs, including a grand slam on a 3-0 pitch, which might be what you heard about this series because it ruffled the feathers of quite a few managers, including 100% of the managers involved in that game.
And the resulting fallout
was
has
phenomenal.
been nothing short of an incredible discourse between purist fans and the new breed of baseball fans.
As if you couldn't get any better than your own manager being mad at you for hitting a grand slam, which is the single highest scoring play you could possibly achieve in baseball. To further add to the public fallout that Chris Woodward was receiving from expressing his frustration of Tatis swinging 3-0 while up 7 runs, the first inning of the very next game contained another grand slam at the hands of the Padres by Will Myers.
Padres legend Will Myers.
Then that game also saw a 6-0 lead almost be relinquished, kind of completely counteracting Chris Woodward's idea of a 7-run lead being insurmountable and the grand slam being disrespectful, or I don't even care how he put it.
Almost as if the Pirates players themselves disagreed with what Woodward said.
Yeah. To make matters worse, upon returning to San Diego last night, the Rangers found themselves tying the game 2-2 with a Joey Gallo home run off of Matt Strahm to tie the game in the 9th, and then they took a 3-2 lead in the 10th, only to see themselves lose on yet another home grand slam, not just a home run, grand slam by Manny Machado, who pimped it to all hell.
Oh, absolutely. He knew exactly what he was doing, too, when he did it. It was glorious. And easily one of my favorite things so far this season has been this series.
Truthfully, I hope that the Rangers get a grand slam hit off of them in every single subsequent game, just because I think it would be funny. I want to see Chris Woodward continue to make excuses on how each following grand slam is disrespectful, and really it would be very disrespectful if every single team for the rest of the year. If every single team for the rest of the year hit a grand slam at the Rangers, it would be very disrespectful, but it would also be very funny.
No home run hit against the Rangers this season would have been considered disrespectful until Chris Woodward thought one was, and now all of them are. It's like the reciprocal of the syndrome principle from The Incredibles, where if everybody's super, no one is. Well, if everybody's hitting home runs, they're all disrespectful.
They're still hitting home runs, though.
One thing I haven't heard anyone talk about, but Brian, you just kind of touched on it, but how do you think Rangers players felt about their manager referring to a 7-run lead as insurmountable?
Because, see, I would be more angry about that if I'm anybody on Rangers pitching staff, or actually, I guess that would be their hitting. But see, if I'm the Rangers offense, and my manager is saying, "Yeah, we can't score 7 runs," and I get it; it's the 7th inning. Like
7 runs,
not easy to
3 innings is a tall order. That was a home game for the Rangers.
But it's certainly not impossible. So if I'm anybody on the Rangers offense, like, I just feel blatantly disrespected by my manager. Like, yeah, like, realistically, I know that that's going to be really hard to do. But if he's just like going out and saying that, then I'm just like, he's basically telling that's me thinking that he's telling me that I suck.
And so you have to imagine there's probably a section of the Rangers clubhouse that probably disagrees with what Chris Woodward said, just on the principle of it being disrespectful. Then you have the section of the team, which realistically is probably the whole team once teammates started talking, but it was disrespectful to us to suggest that we couldn't. There was no conceivable way we could have, overcome that lead. And then you have the fact that Woodward himself was suspended a game, so the amount of damage in that clubhouse that he's going to have to spend the remainder of this season undoing. I'll be really interested to see how that goes. How much of his clubhouse did he lose by grandstanding?
And so we got J-Roy in the chat right now, and he actually brings up really relevant event from today of this exact scenario where you have Chris Woodward 2 days ago saying basically that a 7-run lead, he effectively says 7-run lead is insurmountable, and that Tatis shouldn't be swinging 3-0 because it's like they don't need the runs or whatever. But then today you have the Phillies, who were playing in a 7-inning game because that was the back end of a doubleheader, and they had a 7-0 lead going into the 6th of 7 innings. And they blew that lead. They let that lead get to 9. Or they let the Blue Jays get to 9, and that game became a 9-7 baseball game in the 6th inning.
The Philadelphia Phillies did manage to claw one back in the top of the 7th, but they ultimately lost 9-8 off a 7-run, very crooked 6th inning. It was the first run scored, since the 1st inning.
Yeah, which is just, literally everything is just going against Woodward at this point. It's like, okay, yeah, like, first of all, you're going to complain about the grand slam, and then you get 2 more hit off of you in 2 days. 2 days later, you get directly proven false when a team scores 7 runs at the back half of a game. And you also just get suspended for no reason. Then, like, why not?
Well, not for no reason. They followed up the Tatis grand slam by throwing behind Manny Machado.
Oh, I know. There definitely was a reason, but I don't know, man.
The fact that the Phillies blew a 7-run or a 5-run lead, gave up 7 in the 6th, is funny for sure, because lol Phillies, lol NL East. But who did they gave it up to Toronto, I believe.
Yeah,
but it's interesting that normally something like this that would just be funny is now just further proof of a manager being way too stubborn and way too wrong. And it's like the baseball gods themselves are looking down on Chris Woodward and just saying, "Hey, read the room, bud."
It's amazing how that always seems to work itself out. We got another J-Roy question. We got NL MVP race is pretty tight right now. Who would be y'all's pick right now?
If the season ended right now, it's got to be Blackmon.
I would be very hard pressed to not pick Tatis, and I am probably the biggest Charlie Blackmon fan on the face of the earth. It had this question been asked about a week ago when he was still hitting 500, I definitely would have picked Blackmon.
Yeah, but he's down to what, 418?
Yeah, he's right around 420, 425. And Tatis is just unbelievable. He's leading in almost every major offensive category in the National League right now. I'd be very, very hard pressed to not vote Tatis right at this moment.
I think I think I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think if you're looking for a top 3 right now from the National League, it's probably got to be Tatis, Blackmon, and
probably Yastrzemski.
Harper.
Oh, Harper too. Yeah, Harper's just unbelievable. See, there's a lot. It's really close right now. You got Tatis,
we're only 20 odd games into the season.
Yeah, and then you got Yaz that you got to consider too.
Who's just hitting out of his mind right now. Mookie Betts might be in the conversation.
Mookie Betts, yeah. there's a lot more good candidates in the National League, I would say, than there are in the American League.
Yeah, I
And
think
that's not
the
to say
race
that
in
there
the
aren't.
American League really is like a 3-horse race, and there's just
Yeah,
so many eligible candidates in the NL right now.
yeah.
Although I will say there is a surprise contender in the American League that should be talked about, and that's Anthony Santander.
He really should, and I don't think he's getting the credit that he deserves.
Absolutely not. He's really
Last
not.
year, I think he was top 5 in the American League in batting average, and everybody I mean, he doesn't walk ever,
No,
which is just kind of how he's going to be. But I mean,
he went to the Tim Beckham school of hitting for average.
or the Tim Anderson for that matter.
Or yes, sorry, excuse me, Tim Anderson. Sorry,
I was about to say Tim Beckham. Certainly.
Tim Beckham. If you went to the Tim Beckham school of learning how to hit, you never learned how to hit.
Oh, sweet! Austin Hedges is playing today. I get to just watch the best defensive and worst offensive catcher in baseball.
Well, he just airmailed that throw to second.
Well, okay, shush.
No, I mean it completely contradicts your point. So no, I will not shush. Manny Machado's having a little fun with him right now. That's kind of fun.
I mean, Matt Chapman makes bad plays sometimes too.
You know who's never made a bad play in his entire professional career? Kyle Lewis.
Anyway, I have nothing off the top of my head that can directly counter you, so I'm just not gonna pretend like I do. However, Kyle Seager did just hit a home run against the Dodgers.
And that is just, the absolute, you just love to see that, don't you?
The Seagarity.
Just the amount of seen-ness seen there.
Gallo's OPS is 700 points higher than his batting average, man.
That sounds about right. I was at the game. He hit his 100th career home run in Seattle.
Okay.
I was at that game, but I remember I was there. Sorry, my cat's being weird. I was there, and I just looked across at my friends and was just like, "Yeah, that was his 100th career home run, and he doesn't even have 100 career singles yet."
I remember that one.
And my friend Bryce looks at me and is just like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like, "No, I don't think you understand."
So we got another J. Roy. Thoughts on the Astros being 8-1 since the Ramon Laureano incident? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, they're going for 8 in a row today.
Well, if 8 in a row was today, then they certainly got it because they were up, I want to say 10-3 on the Rockies at one point, and in classic Coors fashion, the Rockies made the wild comeback and fell short like they usually do because the only comebacks that ever come to fruition in Colorado are the ones against the Rockies.
Yeah, it was a lot, but not quite enough.
Yeah, that is basically the story of the Rockies franchise history, really.
Astros going 8-1. Outside of the Laureano incident, like leaving that aside for a minute, I'm not all that surprised about the Astros going 8-1. I think everyone in baseball knew that they were performing.
Sure.
So I think this is more just like regression to the mean for them.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Including the incident for sure. I definitely I was listening just yesterday to a podcast with the beat writer who covers the Astros for the Houston Chronicle, and forgive me for forgetting his name, but he was talking about just like how terrible their start has been and how they've struggled to hit. They're missing Justin Verlander, and one of the things he said was this team's been so beaten down. And to be clear, I have absolutely no sympathy for the Houston Astros being beaten down this season. But he was very clear that they've been so beaten down, and he really just kind of felt like, and he's been traveling with the team this year, and he said he really just felt like that team needed some spark to remind them that You know, they're here to play baseball. They're not just here to, be punching
Sure.
bags.
Sure, yeah.
And so I feel like that Laureano incident might have been it. And it might have just kind of someone in the clubhouse might have just been like, you know what? Do we want to listen to all this for the rest of the season? No, we don't. Well, let's get back in shape. And it's not to say that the entire team has gotten back in shape. Jose Altuve is still
he's just terrible, man.
Just playing absolutely terribly. The utter frustration on his face every time he goes to the plate is so visible.
It's also very funny.
It's also very funny. It's very unfunny if you were an idiot and you drafted Jose Altuve in your war league. But leaving that aside, it's very funny.
So who did draft Jose Altuve in our war league, by the way?
You know, Brian, I don't remember.
Was it the same person that drafted Marcus Semien in our war league?
You know, Brian, I don't remember off the top of my head. I can't seem to find the link, Brian.
Was the same person that drafted Jose Altuve and Marcus Semien also the same person that drafted Cody Bellinger?
You know, Brian, I won't be lambasted for that one.
I won't. Yeah, that one.
The other three go right ahead. The Cody Bellinger one, I refuse to accept any form of responsibility for that.
Was perfectly reasonable. There's no way that I could ever, without the benefit of hindsight, I could have never blasted you as hard as I am going to now.
That was the first round. You take the best available, and I did.
That was a completely unforeseeable thing, and I will give you that. I will give you that.
Players who've forgotten how to play baseball.
So we got another question from a Daniel here. Where would you put Mike Trout in terms of the AL MVP race? And
Brian, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. So Trout isn't even part of the One WAR Club yet. He is 0.9 on Fangraphs, and also, mind you, there are now 2 members of the 2 WAR Club. Tatis Jr. is leading the pack with 2.1, and Mike Yastrzemski has 2.0. At the top of the pack right now in the American League, which still really, really surprises me, is Brandon Lau.
Yeah. Everybody, I feel like every year at this point, we're surprised by one Tampa Bay hitter.
Yeah.
Who just comes out of nowhere. Last year it was Austin Meadows. And apparently this year it's Brandon Lau. But yeah, go ahead. Back to talking about Mike Trout.
Right now, I feel obligated to put Lau at the top.
I think it's
Lau right now. Yeah, right now Lau is, I believe, only trailing Jesse Winker in terms of WRC plus in the entire league. Yeah, so Jesse Winker is at a 220 for the year. Lau is right behind him at a 211, which is just ridiculous. He's leading the American League in WAR at 1.7. So I would put Lau as the front runner. And even though there are a lot of players right now that have been more valuable than Trout so far this year, he's not walking to his usual Mike Trout levels. His walk rate is sitting right now at only 8.5%. So his on-base percentage is a little down, and I'm going to say he's having a down year with a 160 WRC plus, which is just unbelievable that it's even possible to say that. But I think it's hard to not put him still among the front runners just because of who he is. If the season ended right now, I certainly would not vote for him, but it's really hard to not predict that he'll finish at least top 3 when it's all said and done.
You still have to remember you do have to give some consideration to the games he missed on paternity.
Sure. And I don't
think it gives him any more points, but I think when we're talking about his numbers this season and why they might be a little bit different than we're used to seeing, I mean, that's going to be part of it.
I do think that will play some effect into it. However, since he came back off paternity, he hit, I think, 9 homers in 12 games.
Well, his first at bat back against the Mariners was a home run because, of course, it was. But
if Mike Trout played only against the Mariners for his whole life, he would already have 600 career home runs.
If he played only against Felix Hernandez, he'd have 1,000. Barry Bonds, who?
Welcome, my current favorite player in the league. Not my current favorite, but my favorite non-Angel, non-Rocky in the league.
I think he's a lot of people's favorite player in the league right now.
Oh, he should be, man. This guy is like, we say this all the time, but the dude is an absolute electric factory.
I saw more than a couple tweets on the other day. Was that Monday? Where people
when he hit his
grand slam. Yeah,
that was either Sunday or Monday.
Whichever one it was on that day, I saw a couple tweets of people that were just like, I don't really follow baseball, but all the baseball people on my feed are tweeting about this, and I just want to say Fernando Tatis is my favorite player. And I saw like 3 separate tweets like that, and I was just like, yeah, that's the correct take.
Dude, he's so cool. Like the bleached dreads like somehow look so good with those unis. Like it's unreal.
They really do. Like it's just perfect. Like some reason it just is the absolute icing on the cake of the look, because he already looks good in a uniform.
He does, and he looks beautiful in that uniform. But like the bleached dreads just complete the look. Like you just cannot do it any better than that. I'm gonna eat my sandwich.
What do you all think Bellinger's true talent level is?
I'm going to let you go first because I have a sandwich to eat.
I think it'd be really easy to underrate him based on how he started this season. But it might also be really easy to overrate him because last season was such an outstanding season for him. Like he'd never really put anything like that together before. It was such a offensive explosion from him. I think true talent level wise, rating it right now, maybe like a 5.5 WAR player over 162.
I would basically put him right about at that level. I think he gets a big boost because of how good he is in the outfield. He's just got unbelievable throwing arm, incredible range. He can play center field very, very well, and that gives him a huge floor to work with when he's working. If you're talking on a WAR basis, I think his offense is seriously subject to fluctuation. Still, I think he's still trying to figure it out. It did concern me at the beginning of the year when I heard that they were making batting stance changes with him after he just came off the best offensive season of his career.
Well, it just seems so unnecessary.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little odd, but I mean, listen, that could just be hindsight on my part. Like he still shows flashes of being standard Cody Bellinger. I don't think there's really a whole lot to worry about him. I do think a bunch of things went in his favor last year, and I don't think we're likely not to see him repeat that kind of season again, but I could see him putting up multiple seasons like his rookie year, and combined with the defense that he's going to give you in the outfield, I would put him like a perennial like 6-win player.
The only reason, going back to his batting stance change, the only reason I could possibly think of that would be a good reason for him to change that after the season he had last year is that his load up and his swing from his original batting stance was causing him some form of discomfort.
Yeah,
because he put so much of his body into his swing.
It was a swing that just looked like it never should have worked, even though it did.
And so that's the only reason I can think of. But whatever it is, whatever they did, I don't know if it's purely this that did it to him. And I think he's really just still working on finding timing. He's not seeing the ball that well. He's hitting a lot of very, very high pop-ups. Like he's just not quite hitting the ball in the right spot. So I don't know if it's just a matter of time. Like maybe at game 40 he puts it together and has a 20-game run where he hits 350 and 10 bombs or something like that. But until it happens, I don't think this is like regression, and this is the kind of Cody Bellinger we're going to see for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
I part of me just thinks this season's really, really weird.
Well, of course it is. I mean, look at how Christian Yelich started the year, and I don't even know if he's even I truly haven't been paying attention to the Brewers that much. I don't even know if he's like actually like recovered yet. I think he's still hovering right around 0 WAR. And in typing on Fangraphs, I said the word recovered, and then I typed recovered into the player search bar. I don't want you to laugh at me. I would prefer if you didn't.
He's a starting pitcher. He's making his major league debut for the Red Sox tomorrow. And the Red Sox need him so badly because they just can't pitch worth shit this year.
At the moment, Yelich is slashing 205, 333, 500, 122 WRC plus, negative defensively, 0.4 FWAR.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least he got his pardon me, at least he got his slugging over 500.
Well, it is at 500 if you count that.
I'm sorry, I thought you said 505.
His BABIP right now is only 233, and his average exit velocity is 92.5. So I would imagine that he's gonna start to straighten out real soon.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, Christian Yelich still hits the ball just about as hard as anybody else, and that finds you green eventually.
And it's incredible because he just looks like a twig. It always.
Oh my god!
Surprises.
Yeah, where does it all come from? Just some of the fastest hands in the game. Here's another guy who had a grand slam in this series.
Will Myers also makes me sad. I like watching guys that just go the old school, no batting gloves.
Me too. I was just gonna say, like, I love that he so refuses to wear batting gloves at all times.
And winning Rookie of the Year, there's so much hype about him. He's like the front runner of a really weird trade that I didn't quite understand. I didn't quite understand it from really any angle other than the Nationals, because the Nationals were getting Trey Turner and Joe Ross for nothing. They gave up Steven Souza, but yeah, I didn't understand that trade on a whole lot of levels.
I still like Will Myers a lot. When he came up, he was a rookie with the Rays, right? And when he came up, he and Longoria were on the same lineup, and they had two of the prettiest right-handed swings.
Oh yeah,
in the game on the same team. And Myers still definitely had. Well, both of them still do, but Myers still has that. Like when he really makes contact. If you haven't seen it, go watch his grand slam.
Oh yeah.
From
he's got
2
that
days
nice
ago.
little like one-handed lean back follow through.
He just has a very great swing with a really pretty follow through, and when he really makes contact, it is a very aesthetically pleasing moment as a baseball fan.
Oh, that's a run. That's going to be a run.
Right off the glove. That was an A+ trade by the Nats.
I almost wonder if they are better off without the third baseman knocking that ball down.
Just let it go in the left.
Of course that doesn't matter, but like.
Well, former Little League World Series victor Todd Frazier isn't just going to let that go through unencumbered.
Of course not. He's got too much heart for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at Manny with the hustle. You'll love to see that. I'm gonna eat my sandwich some more.
What you got? What kind of sandwich you got? That ham? Looks like ham. Little shredded lettuce.
We got some roast beef and turkey.
Nice. Okay. Not very far the opposite of ham then.
Truthfully, not a big ham sandwich guy. Couldn't tell you why.
Oh, hey. So Daniel wants us to talk about Mize's debut yesterday. So I'll read off the final line because he threw it in here. 4 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned with 7 strikeouts.
I mean, honestly, he's never pitched above AA. Like, he was probably ready, but I kind of didn't expect him to be up, other than the fact that the Tigers are this bad.
Yeah, and there was a pretty loud social media campaign to get him to be brought up.
Led by the one and only Scott Bentley.
Scott Bentley.
DG member Scott Bentley,
Who was
leading the Free Casey Mize charge.
probably the loudest voice.
Oh, absolutely.
And the most constant, too.
And
never
the
missed an
prettiest.
opportunity.
But yeah, I mean, that's a good one. Like, regardless of how you feel about them, I know there are certain people who feel certain ways towards the White Sox that we know. But regardless of how you feel about them, that's a good offense. There's a lot of people in that lineup who know how to. They just know how to hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And for Mize to go in there and just, I mean, he obviously didn't dominate, but he certainly didn't get blown up.
No, I want to see how many pitches he threw. This
is easily the highest quality of hitting he's ever faced in his life, and he went out there and he struck out 7, and that's pretty good. You know, if I'm a Tigers fan, I can't complain about that. I'm certainly far happier about the Mize debut than I am about the Skubal debut.
Yeah, I imagine you and everybody else too.
Skubal debut was not fantastic for Tigers fans or for my fantasy team.
So Mize threw 73 pitches and 4 1/3, 49 for strikes. Yeah, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm just glad that he got called up because clearly that's what everyone really wanted. But the 7 strikeouts in 4 1/3, I would be very excited about. I mean, that's pretty big. I mean, the Mariners have 2 rookie starters in their rotation this year, in Justice Sheffield and Justin Dunn, and only in his 15th career start did Sheffield manage to kind of compile strikeouts like that. Mize did it in his first. So
Sheffield,
I mean, it's not like Sheffield came in the
was he the Paxton
trade or in the Paxton trade? Must have been.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of it, but just looking at the numbers for someone has never pitched above AA, I think Tigers fans should be really, really happy about what they got there.
Absolutely. I don't know what broadcast you're on. I'm on the Padres one right now, and they just put out some trivia. I also enjoy hearing Don Orsillo in the background while I listen to you.
Oh, but, absolutely.
I
love hearing him while I'm listening to me too.
It was like the last night was the whatever walk-off slam that the Padres have ever hit. Who hit the first in 1995? And just for the sake of doing this on air, it was like Steve Finley, 2 other guys I don't know, and Ken Caminetti. And just because I know Ken Caminetti, I'm going to choose Ken Caminetti. I don't think that was his MVP year. I want to say that was 1997, but I'm still going to pick Caminetti.
I mean, you're probably right.
Given that I didn't give you 2 of the choices, doesn't really make it fair for you to guess.
Really.
Oh, there was a Bip Roberts in there.
Roberts.
Bip Roberts.
I love the sound of Bip Roberts. I'll double down on some Bip Roberts right now.
A Bip and a bop for a walk-off slam.
I got Bip Roberts. Here, I got all the money in my wallet on Bip. Oh, never mind.
Bippity boppity. That baseball is now a fan's property. I'm sorry.
So anyway.
Oh man. This Padres team is so fun, man.
They really are. They're so youthful. They're so clearly having a good time.
I think Manny coming here was the best decision he could have possibly made.
It's interesting too because I feel like Tatis this season is really living up to what a lot of people thought Manny would be for a lot of his career. And let's not get this straight. Manny's still a very good third baseman and a very good player and a very good hitter. Ooh, Todd Frazier just says sayonara to his bat. I wonder if he was trying to hit a grand slam there. But Tatis is clearly like we haven't seen a lot of superstar infielders in a really long time.
Yeah, it's been a lot of outfielders for the past few years.
Yeah, I mean going all the way back to I guess the last real superstar infielder was A-Rod. I mean, unless you can think of somebody else.
See, I'm thinking more recently. I think it's fair to say, oh, what a play, Manny!
Nice play, Manny.
Ooh, what a play. Oh God, superstar infielders.
Yeah, superstar infielders. I mean, if you can think of one before A-Rod, but off the top of my head, I'm struggling.
See, going just recently, I think it would be very safe to call Francisco Lindor a superstar.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would safely call Lindor a superstar. I would call Javi Baez a superstar.
The argument could be
made. Not even strictly based off talent. Like if I'm calling somebody a superstar, I'm referring to that more. It's obviously some influx of talent, but when I say superstar, that's like the people that people know.
Yeah.
So
I guess being on the cover of the show will probably help with some of that too.
Yeah, and everybody knows Baez. He's flashy, he's fun, he's energetic, he's out there. Everybody knows him, and he's good too. So I'm willing to give him that superstar criteria.
Maybe Prince Fielder before he was unceremoniously ousted from baseball.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Maybe there's been tons of first basemen, but like Pujols, Miggy.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely been plenty of superstar infielders since A-Rod.
Yeah, just not. Yeah, it depends on how you go with superstar. We got Christian here. He said Lindor. He says Correa. And then Christian's saying Story. I don't know if I would put Story as superstar yet. Superstar talent, sure.
I might put Arenado before Story.
Yeah, I probably would too. But just off of like my criteria of superstar with that public recognition part going in, I wouldn't put Story in there yet. Right now, I would probably go with Lindor, Correa, and Baez. I probably as like the three biggest, and then like some form of tier below, like Bregman and Arenado. Maybe Altuve.
But getting back to Tatis, like Machado, a lot of people thought that Machado would be what Tatis is now. And I think it's really cool that Machado has come over to this team, and instead of maybe stubbornly still trying to be that, he's really kind of just stepped aside and taken more of a leadership role and really let the guy that plays just off to his left be the big star, because that's what he is. He's the big star. He's the most entertaining player in baseball right now. He's right. I mean, by the numbers, he's the best player in baseball right now. And I think it's great of Machado that he came over and was willing to yield some of the spotlight.
Yeah, and honestly, like, good for him, because coming into this new contract, he 100% deserved all the attention.
Absolutely.
And then he didn't, because he didn't play to it. And he could have whined and complained about it. He could have like blamed any amount of things, and to my knowledge, he didn't, because that's usually something
that I ever heard about.
That's usually something that we find out about.
And we probably would have found out about it because Manny Machado had plenty of detractors.
Oh, absolutely.
Plenty of people that were looking for every reason or every opportunity to, point at him and say, "See?"
Really? So we got some chat news right here. The longest tenured Blue Jay, Anthony Alford, has been designated for assignment.
Really? That
interesting.
Is interesting that they would just DFA their longest tenured player.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know much of anything about Anthony Alford. I'm pretty sure he's a reliever. I couldn't tell you that with certainty, but I think now that makes Teoscar Hernandez the longest tenured Blue Jay, and I'm pretty sure he's only been there since 2018.
Well, to be fair, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, to be fair, he's an outfielder. The
Oh, well.
To be
There
fair,
you go.
the Mariners' longest, if it wasn't for Kyle Seager, the Mariners' longest tenured player would have been around since 2018 as well.
Probably Marco.
Well, there'd be a few, but yeah, Marco.
Uh-huh. I do like Marco. It's mostly because of the Crafty Lefties commercial. I don't really like
Very
that for
crafty.
he does. I don't like that for some reason. He always does really well against the Angels. But it actually infuriates me. But
Marco, speaking of people who might get slightly underrated, Marco Gonzalez is definitely in that conversation. I will say I did. He's not an ace on just about any other team in baseball. But he does get underrated. I mean, he's quiet. I think he's quietly got like he's in the top 10 for WAR in baseball in the last few years, or in terms of starters in the American League.
Yeah, and I think he gets the unfair comp of Kyle Hendricks a lot just because they both have the soft tossing tendencies, and it's really unfair to compare anybody to Hendricks in that regard because he is very, very clearly far and away better at that style of pitching than anybody else in the league right now that we've seen for a long time. But
the most unfair comparison I've ever seen for Marco too is among Mariners fans. They compare him to Jamie Moyer, which first of all isn't even really an accurate comparison. But
yeah, I wouldn't really say that either.
Yeah, but people will give him that just because he's a left-hander who doesn't throw very hard. But I don't think Marco Gonzalez is going to pitch till he's 50.
No, I would hope not for his sake.
That just doesn't sound very nice on your elbow.
See, I'm actually really glad that you said Jamie Moyer though, because you just started like saying I was thinking old Mariners lefties who, and I guess the guy that I'm about to say did throw pretty hard in his day, but then later in his career he became a control guy. I thought you were going to say Cliff Lee. I was going to say, yeah, that is very, very unfair.
That would have been very unfair. There's also the fact that Cliff Lee was only on the Mariners for what, like
a half a season, right? Until he got traded to Texas. What did you guys get back from that trade? I don't really remember.
Absolutely nothing. It's one of those trades I blocked out from my memory because it was so bad.
I mean, that's understandable. That's like every other Angels trade that we've ever made. Right now. So we got another question from Daniel who, let's see, we got, what do you guys think Zach Gallen's ceiling is? I have him on my fantasy team. He's been awesome for me. First of all, don't apologize for the questions. We like them. Keeps us going, gives us things to talk about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We love them.
Literally as many as you want. So don't feel bad about asking us questions. We like things to talk about. Second of all, we actually had one of our writers, Jonah Keene, who dabbles a little bit in Mets and Marlins stuff. And he actually wrote about Zach Gallen last year before he got called up, saying how he could be like a big breakout guy last year. And then that is exactly what he ended up being until the Marlins shipped him off for Jazz Chisholm. So we've been big on, like, as a site, we have actually been really big on Zach Gallen for a fairly long time, like relative to his success in the major leagues. And I feel pretty comfortable saying that, like, basically everybody in DD thinks that Zach Gallen could be a legitimate ace in the very, very near future.
No, I agree.
I really like him, man.
No, the future's very bright for him.
I was really surprised that the Marlins traded him for that, and I know like Jazz Chisholm, very good prospect, but Gallen, I felt like the Marlins were getting close enough to the point where Gallen could have been there for the turnaround.
I would agree too. And when they traded him, I wondered if it was kind of one of those things where I thought, do the Marlins know something about him that nobody else knows about him? But I don't think that's the case anymore.
Because he went right to Arizona and just kept on dominating.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what they were thinking, because it seems to me at this point that Gallen's ceiling is as high as he wants it to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So, I mean, again, Chisholm, Chisholm is a great prospect, but Zach Gallen is what literally 30 teams in the league want at any. Oh, what a play! What a play!
Pretty unceremonious way to end the inning, but it was
That
flashy.
really was. I would be angry if I'm Trent Grisham. I am saying shoot, darn it.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I've been that runner too. It doesn't feel good.
No, it does not at all, man.
I've also been the person making that out before, and it feels really good.
I've done that less times than I was the batter, but in high school I was literally known for, like, if ex-woba hadn't been invented by the time I left high school, I certainly would have invented it by the time I left, because what I was known for in high school was hitting like bullet low line drives everywhere. And of course, just with the way that I was, I could never lift the ball. Could never lift the ball for my life. So I would just hit missiles, but low. So I lined out to the shortstop and left fielder more times than you could ever imagine. And it was just absolutely infuriating. We obviously didn't have like a true ex-woba because we were a high school, but like,
yeah,
it was nice because my coach, like, they did a really like rough like eyeball test of like hard hit balls. Like, it's like hard hit fly balls, hard hit line drives, just hard hit ground balls in general. And like, I hit like 280 that season, but I had like over twice as many hard hit balls as anybody else on my team. And I was like looking at that and I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better. Like, I had like 29 and the next closest was like 13. I was like, I feel a little bit better now.
You just needed a couple more games, man. You would have started finding some more green. Get that average up over 300.
Yeah, see, that's what my coaches kept on telling me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it'll straighten itself out. It'll straighten itself out." And then it's like my senior year, and I've just finished lining out to the left fielder like 3 times in a row. Then I come back in after the 3rd time, and my coach looks at me, and he's like, "Yeah, look, I've been telling you for 3 years that it's going to straighten itself out. You're gonna start getting those hits that you deserve. You're never going to. You're just."
This is just how you hit, man.
That's exactly what I want to hear. I'm doing everything right, and it's never going to work for me. Thank you.
I mean, it could be you could have been me, who never really managed to put together much of a hitting career in high school until the playoffs of my senior year, and I only got like 2 at-bats.
I had a very, very unproductive playoff career when I was in high school. My first ever playoff game was my sophomore year, and we got bounced in the first round. I think I went 0 for 4, grounded into a double play, let off the bottom of the 7th inning with a really weak ground ball to short. It just felt awful. Then the next year, when we're lined up to have a playoff game at Angel Stadium, I broke my wrist in practice 2 weeks before. That didn't feel too good. Both missing the Angel game and the fact that I couldn't move my wrist for 7 weeks. Neither of those felt very good.
Here's a question.
Next year I also went 0 for 3 with a bases loaded walk, though. Nice. Only RBI for our side in that game, and then we once again got bounced in the first round.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you. Not one from the chat, just one from me. But because I know the answer to this question for me personally. But what was your best at bat in your high school career? Not maybe the one that
my best.
But like one where you just had a really, really solid plate approach. And maybe it wasn't the best result. Maybe it just ended in a walk, but like your best at bat. Because I know my answer. Bat.
See, there's a couple that I would look back on. And honestly, my best at bat might have come in my very last one of high school, and it was a line out to left field. It was that playoff game, and the at bat before, I had worked 8 pitches off their starter, who he was throwing like 88, 89 at the time, and I had the bases loaded with 2 outs. We were down by 1. It was like the 5th inning, and obviously it was important that we got that run because we're down 1. And then I worked it to 1-2, got 2 borderline calls to go my way. And then I swung at a pitch over my head, fouled it off, and then I took another pitch over my head for ball 4. So then they bring in a reliever for us, and we've got I'm representing the go-ahead run in the bottom of the sixth, and their guy looked like he just had absolutely no off speed, absolutely no curveball. Just looked like a guy that knew how to spot his fastball.
Mm-hmm.
And they had pitched me away all game. So I went up there just thinking to myself, I was like, this guy is 100% throwing me an inside fastball on the first pitch. They've thrown me away all game. They throw me away all game with off speed. This guy has no off speed. He's just flipping up a curveball. He's going to throw me an inside fastball, and I am going to absolutely demolish this thing into the parking lot 1,000 feet away. And I got my inside fastball, and I turned on that thing harder than I've ever turned on anything in my life. And that was probably the single hardest baseball I've ever hit in my life. And the left fielder was playing no doubles, took 2 steps back, put his hand against the wall, reached up and caught it.
God. What is fun to do against such reckless hate?
I was very, very angry, and I think I broke my finger punching my helmet on my way back into the dugout. I was really, really mad.
I have one that I think was my best at bat. But I have another one that was just like, it was my favorite at bat. But my best at bat was in my senior year of high school. And for context, my senior year, I didn't start. We had a junior first baseman that could just hit dingers like it was like he was getting paid to do it. And I could not hit dingers. But I got a pinch hit at bat against O'Day. And it was a close game, but I got a pinch hit with 2 on and 2 out. And I went out in the on-deck circle, and the guy in front of me walked. So that's how we got 2 on. And then I came up, and they did a pitching change. And they brought this new guy on. And I was a bit miffed because I was looking forward to hitting against this guy. I'd gotten a base hit off of him when he came on in relief the last time we played against O'Day. And so they took him off, and they put in this guy who I'd never seen pitch, and he starts throwing knuckleballs in his warm-up. And I was just like, oh boy. And I just stood there watching him, and I was just like, I've never really faced a knuckleball. I don't really know what to do here. And I just went up, and I sat so back on my back foot for the whole at bat. But he threw the first 2 like he missed terribly with the first 2, like down and in, and then down and out for the first 2. So I was up 2-0, but I was just in my own head, just trying to be like, all right, just, stay back, let it come to you, let it come to you, let it come to you, let it come to you.
Sure.
And he gets one over, and I let it go by because I just wanted to see what a strike looked like.
Yeah.
And it goes by, and I just kind of went, okay. And it did me almost absolutely no good, because every time I swung the bat for the rest of the at-bat, it was a weak foul ball, but it was nothing anybody could catch. But after 12 pitches, I walked, and our shortstop came up and hit a 3-run double. So,
nice.
But so that walk with 2 outs, and then we got, our leadoff guy comes on and absolutely clobbered one. And this was one of those schools who their baseball field didn't have a fence, so that double just went on forever. Yeah. Like, it probably shouldn't have been a double, but I think he looked up and he was getting the stop sign.
Sure.
But yeah, I was so mad, too, because I was so looking forward to that field not having a fence, and I just wailed one off of that guy in the last time I faced him. And then they took him out, but that was a really good at-bat. But I mentioned my favorite at-bat, too. This one's a shorter story. But in a summer ball game one year when I was a sophomore, we were playing against this team from like an hour away. And from Gig Harbor? Yeah. And we were playing them, and it was late in the game, and they brought in this kid who was clearly a hard thrower, and he was doing his warm-ups, and he was pitching kind of wild. And so I stepped in the box, and I crowded a bit, just like a bit more than I normally would. Usually I stand pretty far back in the box because I have really long arms, so I crowded a bit. Sorry, car alarm going off outside my apartment now. That'll probably go on for the next like 8 minutes, knowing this neighborhood. But I crowded him a bit, and he absolutely buzzed me, like just about took me to the dirt. And so I got up, and next pitch he did it again. And instead of going to the ground, I just ducked, and I kind of just went like the "hoo" at him like that. and he gets the pitch back, keeps staring at me, and I just get into the box, and I don't lose eye contact with him at all, but I just say to the catcher, I said, give him something for me to hit. And he throws something just as hard right in the middle of the plate, and I clobbered it like 350 feet foul over the left field foul pole. And to this day, my dad still thinks it was a fair ball. But the next pitch, I hit a double off the wall, but that one was fun for me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You were in the middle of your thing.
I was just gonna say I ended up a couple weeks later. We played that team again, and I got to the field first that day, and there was a couple guys from their team already there, and so they came over and we were just chatting before the game, and one of them was like, "Were you the one who threatened to charge at?" I don't remember his name, but he was like, "Were you the one who threatened to charge at Anthony?" And I was just like, "Oh yeah, that was me." And he was just like. He was like, "Yeah, that was a fun game. We thought you were gonna go," and I was like, "Oh, I wasn't gonna go. I'm not getting in a fight in a friggin' high school player's summer ball game. Like if he'd hit me with the third pitch, I might have, but no." Anyway, go ahead.
There was my freshman year. We had a pitcher in our league, and he was known. Ooh, Manny down the line.
Place that.
Yeah, there was a pitcher in our league. He was notorious for throwing like 3 knuckleballs a game, just to be annoying.
You just didn't know when they were coming.
To this day, it still like infuriates me that he would do that, and because like it wasn't even a good knuckleball. It was just a knuckleball, and it was just like you see it come out of his hand, and obviously you read it right away, but like you see it come out of his hand, and you're just like, oh, like what do I do? What do I do? And he threw me one of those do nothing knuckleballs. And oh my God, I just obliterated it. Like, oh my God. Like it hung, and I just like, oh my Lord, I crushed that thing. I'm running down the line. My freshman field didn't really have fences. We had like a really deep straight right field because that was the fence that we shared with the varsity field.
Okay.
We effectively played in a field my freshman year if the polo grounds was dead center everywhere.
Oh, God.
So, except for straight left field. Straight left field, there was one part of the fence where it was like here, and then it went straight back after that. Machado on Gallo. Oh, my God. He got gunned. It was a good tag. It was a
good throw, too. It was up the line. It was one hop.
Very good throw. Joey Gallo's got a beautiful
arm. He's got
a
great arm, and he always gives good throws.
Yeah, it seems to always be right on the money.
I mean,
let's see if that tag got on, though.
He gives great hops, too.
I'm surprised that they sent... Oh, I don't know if he tagged him.
Oh, I think he missed. Boy, from that, it looks an awful lot like he missed. Machado came up with the save, too. I think he thinks he didn't get tagged.
Either way, that was a really good
broadcast
slide.
Is saying now they think he missed the tag. I want them to come from that behind the back angle, but this will be good.
I think he missed.
I don't think he got him. I think maybe one of the laces off his glove might have hit his shirt, but that doesn't count as an out. I don't think he tagged him.
There's just not a really good angle for it.
And the umpire had a terrible angle to make the call.
Oh, he did. I don't know. There wasn't a really good angle that we saw from there. From everything I just saw, I think he was safe.
I think he was safe. Crew Chief's got the headset on. He's watching the replay on the jumbo.
Oh no, man! So So we had
This
the
is
short.
the best angle, the one that's on right now. I think this is the clearest angle. And if we can get a freeze frame, there we go.
Get him.
He might have gotten him. I just don't see the jersey move at all.
I don't know if you could overturn this though.
I don't know if there's enough, unless New York has an angle that we're not seeing. But I don't see enough to overturn it.
Which they supposedly do.
We always hear that, but we don't know what they are.
I wouldn't want to be the one to make that call.
Well, Machado.
That's what I figured.
Machado came up giving the safe, and Chirinos came up with the holding the glove in his ball, saying, "I still got it."
I think it's Do you say Chirinos or Trevino?
I said Chirinos.
I think it's Trevino today.
Is it Trevino?
I think it's Trevino. Yeah. Dang, that was close to
the bang play though.
Yeah, that throw beat him by a lot. That play was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, me too.
I'm surprised,
when that ball came in, it looked like he was gunned.
I'm surprised they sent Manny on Gallo. Honestly,
I'm surprised. I don't know a whole lot about the speed capabilities on this team, but I don't know if there's anybody fast enough to outrun Gallo's arm on this team.
I would give that honor to definitely Tatis and maybe Grisham. That's about it.
Yeah, okay. I could see Grisham probably could run that. It's a bold call for sure.
Yeah, especially with 1 out. 2 outs for sure. I would send it, but
that's the kind of call I feel like the third base coach would make in the first game of the series, not the fourth.
Sure, and even so, Will Myers has been hitting well. I get that you're trying to make something happen. It's only a 1-run game. At the same time, Machado's not the fastest guy in the world, and that's Joey Gallo. That's the one guy you don't run on in that outfield.
Well, and the other thing too is Machado stays at third. You got a runner on first. Maybe Myers walks. Then you got another grand slam opportunity.
Exactly.
Come on.
That's what we're. That's
what
exactly what we're living for.
What are we talking about here?
Literally, what are we talking about? Definition of what are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Oh, by the way, getting back, we went off on the tangent about high school baseball at bats there.
Oh yeah.
To get back real fast, the Cliff Lee trade. So, the Mariners sent Cliff Lee and reliever Mark Lowe. We ended up getting back later on, and then I think he went back to the Rangers after that. So I think he did 2 separate stints with the Mariners and the Rangers, if I remember correctly. In return, we got then prospects. I'm going to go in reverse order here. Matthew Lawson. Stolen base for Eric Hosmer. We got Matthew Lawson, Josh Luke, Blake Bevan, and Justin Smoke.
Oh, Justin Smoke was terrible for you guys, though, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Ugh. That's not what you like to see.
No, it's really not. But yeah,
by the way,
you had asked, so I thought you'd want to know. Turns out you wanted to know, I didn't.
That last story that I was telling, it unfortunately didn't involve me blasting a home run over the only fence that existed for a freshman to blast over, because first of all, it was 15 feet high, and second of all, that ball hit 2 feet foul.
Oh,
and I hit it off the very top of that fence, and I was so mad.
That's a bummer.
Threw me that do nothing knuckleball, and that was probably the furthest ball I've ever hit. And I'm running halfway down the line, and then I stopped, and my coach is screaming at me. He's like, "Why did you stop?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Why did you stop running?" And it's like, it's foul. Like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, "Well, you didn't know that." I was like, "Evidently, I did."
Clearly, I did, since it was, and I'm stopped.
Will Myers. Oh, foul ball.
Oof. Would you say it was about that foul?
Yeah. That was basically that foul. Yep, that foul.
Yeah, I would say.
That So
About
picture
2,
that
3 feet.
ball. Yeah, picture that ball being that foul, but about 355 feet away and 14 feet up a fence.
Good Lord.
And then I grounded out to second. just because, why not?
Yeah, just let's really top this one off, shall we? Let's rub it in. I'm looking behind the plate right now at the Padres cutouts that they have in the stands. And I just got the email confirmation today of my cutouts being put in at T-Mobile Park.
Nice.
So I'm very excited about that.
Where are you guys sitting?
Remember the game that we went to when you were here last year?
Yep.
So they're in those left field bleachers. I think they might even be in the same section that we were sitting in.
Really?
But they're
Okay.
in the first row, right up against the furthest most sits right up against the aisle. I should tell my mom and dad so they know where to look. But yeah, I was excited about that. I wasn't sure when I got them because I bought Lucas Giolito had a hell of a start today.
Yes,
I got like 7 of them because I got mine, and then my parents threw in, and my roommate, and my friend, and my roommate's dad. So I ended up getting like 7 of them. So everybody was like, when they go in, like, are we gonna get some kind of like, are they gonna tell us where they are?
That's cool.
I was like, I have no idea, and so I just got it today.
Yeah, I would probably be more inclined to look into doing that for the Angels or the Rockies. If I could pay to have my cutout in Coors sit right next to Larry Walker and Troy Tulowitzki, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
because I don't know the last Rockies game that you've watched, but behind the plate in Coors, it is largely like Rockies legends. So you'll like see like Brad Hopp, Jeff Francis, Carlos Gonzalez, Larry Walker, Seth Smith, all those kinds of guys. But that is like basically the entirety of the portion behind the plate. So there's like you don't get into like the fan ones until like significantly further down. But if I could shell out like a couple $100 to just have me sitting next to Larry Walker at a Rockies game, you'd be pretty hard pressed to find me passing up that offer.
I think it's really funny. I saw they have the same thing at T-Mobile where they have the former players are lining up kind of the front. And I remember they were doing during a game they had the camera kind of going down the aisle looking at some of them, and they crossed Jay Buhner's. And I just thought it was really funny that they felt the need to highlight Jay Buhner's cutout, because if you've ever been to a Mariners game at T-Mobile Park, you were probably at the same game as Jay Buhner, because Jay Buhner is in the stands behind the dugout all the time. He's there all the time.
It's like
I've been in the stadium and just looked down and been like, yeah, I recognize that bald head anywhere.
I don't know how keen you are in Angels history, and truthfully, I don't know who else he pitched for other than the Angels. But Clyde Wright was.
Oh yeah, that's a name above my head.
So yeah, Clyde Wright was an old lefty for the Angels, and everybody here, to my knowledge, loves him. For a while at Angel Stadium, he had Clyde Wright's barbecue out in center field. It was out in center field for a while, and then it was moved down the third baseline. Not that actually matters, but he threw a no-hitter for us. He pitched for us for a few years, and then he was really active with the team afterwards, like doing a bunch of like public appearances and stuff. Like he really enjoys meeting fans and all that.
Yeah.
So he is basically always around. So I would imagine that would be kind of the same thing, even though Clyde Wright is obviously a little bit lesser of a name than Jay Buhner is, but kind of the same deal, because like you could find Clyde Wright there almost any given day.
Yeah, it sounds like broadly the same thing. I mean, a very common meme for Mariners fans is trucks, and more trucks, because the local Root Sports will run ads for Northwest Motorsport, which Jay Buhner has been doing the reads for their ads for
Oh boy.
what feels like the last 15 years. And he ends every read with Northwest Motorsports, trucks, and more trucks. And if you're going in, tell them the Bone sent you. And it's just like if you're watching a Mariners game, if you're watching a Mariners broadcast, you're gonna hear that commercial a few times.
I want to pitch you my idea. So like the Mariners have like their team-based commercials and stuff. I want to pitch you my idea for an Angels one.
Okay, all right. Let's hear
All
this.
right,
Hang on. Let me put on my advertiser man thin spectacles.
Well, now I'm nervous.
All right.
You put on the advertiser man thin spectacles, and now I'm nervous.
No, I got my fingers clenched in front of me just so. All right,
Hang on,
Mr. Schlosser.
Hang on, I need to take a position of power.
I see your power posing.
Okay. All right. So you got Trout and Ohtani out in a lake, right?
Right.
And if you wanted, you could also include Tim Salmon.
Why not?
So then, so then you got Trout and just call it Trout and Ohtani on a lake, and they're fishing. And then Shohei taps Trout on the shoulder, and he goes, "You catch anything, Mike?" And then Trout goes, "No, didn't catch anything." But how about you, Shohei? And then Shohei turns around, and he's just got this spit-eating grin on his face, and he looks over at Mike, and he's like, "Tuna." and then Mike just stares at Shohei, and the commercial ends.
Angels baseball.
Angels baseball.
That's pretty good. I actually like that.
I've had that idea for years.
No, I like that. That's good.
They need to execute. They need to do it now.
I always feel like I have good ideas for the Mariners commercials, and then they come out with that year's batch of Mariners commercials, and I'm like, nope, every single one of those is better than my idea. They didn't do any this year. It was the first year that they haven't done any since the 80s.
I had an idea for a Giants one at one point, and I don't remember it anymore. But effectively, what it was just Bruce Bochy lounging out on a beach resort, and just he had his 3 ring. He had his sunglasses made out of World Series rings, even though he's only won 3 of them, and they were just gonna be like, Boats, shouldn't we get ready for the upcoming season or whatever? And then Boats was just gonna start spitting out 2015 memes to respond to them.
That one sounds it's more like a social post than an ad.
Yeah, it would have been in a super boomer way.
Yeah.
And I again, the Trout Ohtani one is my best work. That is the best thing I'll ever come up with.
Oh, that's great. That's a magnum opus for sure. You should pitch that and then retire.
Yes. And if somebody is watching this and they steal it, I'm going to be very angry because I'm the one that said it on camera.
My big idea, my $1 million idea that someone will definitely steal from me one day is a teriyaki restaurant that does karaoke on Thursdays, and it's called Karaoke.
Karaoke. I could get behind that. What about karaoke?
I like karaoke better.
I think I like karaoke better, but I just wanted to see how karaoke sounded out loud.
Karaoke, I'll be honest, it doesn't sound bad, but the problem is that you kind of one day someone is gonna. It was Biff Roberts.
Oh no way! Oh man, I'm actually mad.
Woo! Let's go. You remembered Biff Roberts for a reason. Let's go. All right, getting back to what was I talking about?
Man, I'm so heated about that.
I was really glad I looked up at the screen at that moment.
Man, I could have just straight up not told you his name. I was like, yep, you're taking Steve Finley because that's the only other person I know. I'm heated about that, man.
Steve Finley, who? I don't even know who that is. I'm a Bip Roberts guy now.
It makes me mad. Anyways, karaoke.
Oh
Continue.
yes, okay. What I was saying was, one day, like someone's gonna look up, like someone out in town is gonna look up, and they're gonna put down their newspaper, and they're gonna go, "Honey, do you want to go to karaoke for dinner tonight?" Or
Karaoke.
karaoke. And their wife's gonna be like, "What's karaoke?" And he's gonna be like, "Oh, it's this." And he's gonna be like, "Oh, it's a teriyaki restaurant that has karaoke." And they'd be like, "Why did they call it teriyaki? They could have called it karaoke." And that will be the moment the business starts to fail.
Okay, what about anybody else that does that the other way?
Well, I don't care about them. I had the karaoke idea first. I mean, if they think teriyaki is better and they don't go there because of them, that's on them. That's not on me. But if I name it teriyaki and they don't go there because it's not named karaoke, that's on me. I have to shoulder that responsibility.
Okay, so what I think you need to do is you need to open up a karaoke restaurant that also serves teriyaki, and you need to call that karaoke. But then you need to open up a teriyaki restaurant that also does karaoke, and you call that one teriyaki.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So
it's like one of them is a teriyaki restaurant with karaoke. The other one is a karaoke club that just happens to serve teriyaki.
Exactly. Two completely unrelated business ventures.
Oh my god. The only thing tying them together is the owner, who is me. And boom, I'm a multi-billionaire in a matter of years.
The only thing tying them together is the mutual containing of both karaoke and teriyaki, which is completely coincidental.
It was pointed out by our producer that an extremely restrained, very pure baseball move to not swing 3-0 just a moment ago by Joey Gallo.
Knicks War League team celebrates as Cody Bellinger hits his second home run in as many nights. I hear those homers are good for the old WOBA.
I will take my W's in cash.
Your W's have amounted to maybe $1.47.
That's $1.47 more than I had a minute ago, Sir Smugly.
I can't argue with that one.
You telling me right now, Mr. College Student, that somebody came up to you and offered you $1.47, you wouldn't take it? How much of that sandwich? How much of that sandwich that you were eating would the $1.47 buy you?
It started with a 7.
Okay, that buys you roughly
maybe 2 bites of that. It might have bought me 2 bites of that sandwich.
That buys you like 14% of that sandwich. That is nothing to sneeze at when you're starving to death, which you are because you're in college and you can't afford anything.
I'm just trying to think if you even did that percentage right.
I don't even know if I did that percentage right. I'll be honest with you.
I don't really care, honestly, but
well, now I do.
So I don't have the receipt, but it was like
show me the receipts. Show me the receipts, Brian.
I already threw it away. I wasn't going to take back the sandwich, okay? Like what? I eat it and it's like, listen, I want a refund. Where's the sandwich?
Watch party.
I don't have it. Did I have to bring it?
Bip Roberts. Dude, I need to get. I wonder how much a Bip Roberts jersey costs.
There's no way a Bip Roberts jersey actually exists.
Well, you know what, me bucko? That's where we're about to find out.
Me bucko.
I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves lately.
That's understandable. Bip Roberts jersey.
Career stats look like.
No way.
He's a career 294, 358, 380. And yet, despite that, played in over 1,000 career games over 12 years.
There's a bunch of shoddy online shops that.
He had 264 career stolen bases and was only caught 95 times.
I thought you were going to say home runs, and I was about to cry. I was like, "There's no way."
No, he had 30 career home runs. The most he ever had was 9 in 1990. Did
you say 30?
He had 30 career. He had 9 in the year 1990. That was his most.
Sounds much more reasonable.
Yes, I agree.
I felt like I would have remembered a man named Bip Roberts hitting 290 career home runs.
Boy, he played a lot of positions too. I finished 8th in MVP voting in 1991. He was an All-Star. His only appearance.
Good for Bip.
Good for Bip. Big Bip Roberts guy now.
Full count and not even close.
He was drafted by the Pirates in the 5th round of the 81 amateur draft out of Skyline High School in Oakland, California.
Interesting.
And then he didn't sign and then was drafted in the 1st round by the Pirates again, 13th overall in 82.
Nice. Good for him.
Chabot College in Hayward, California. Big California guy.
Wow.
Austin Hedges really not doing you any favors on your comment from earlier this game today. You got anything you want to say about that?
I would like to say that Joey Gallo didn't take third on that ball, and that was a walk anyway, so he would have got to second no matter what.
That just seems like the benefit.
Carry that, you casual.
That just seems like more a benefit of the circumstance, and like
that just seems like an S tier understanding of the situation, trying to bait Gallo into going to third so that you could throw him out.
Well, now I just think you're over.
It's an intellectual thing.
No. You're over here trying to insinuate that Austin Hedges is playing 5-dimensional chess, and I'm not seeing it.
I'm trying to tell you.
You're trying to fool me, and I'm not having it.
I'm trying to tell you that Austin Hedges is playing a game that hasn't even been invented yet because he's that far ahead of everybody else.
No, he's playing a game that hasn't been invented yet, and there's a reason it hasn't been invented yet, because it's not fun to watch.
He's playing a game that hasn't been invented yet, and the only precursor to that game is that you have to forget how to swing a baseball bat.
Okay, Jeff Mathis invented that game, so let's be clear about that.
That's true. That's true. Jeff Mathis invented the demo. Austin Hedges is the first full-time player.
Jeff Mathis was the beta. Austin Hedges is the AAA release from EA.
No, who's going to be the DLC pack?
Mike Zanino's kid was born last year. Maybe him.
Can I tell you about my absolute worst business idea that I came up with my buddy on a camping trip? My worst business idea that I came up with my buddy on a camping trip.
It's not karaoke, is it?
It is not karaoke.
Okay, good, because I'd have to sue you if it was. Go on.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to sue me because technically you have never put that into place.
That's what you think.
That is what I think. Well, so I actually had to go grab my laptop charger. So once I do that, I will come back, and I promise you this is not going to be worth waiting for.
Well, now I'm more excited than I would have been otherwise.
I cannot wait to disappoint you.
That's just 2020, man. All right, now he's gone. We can talk about the really important stuff. I got nothing. Bip Robert. I want to know more about Bip Roberts. Anybody in the chat got any fun Bip Roberts fact? I need to know more about this wonderful Bip Roberts gentleman that just absolutely ruined Brian's entire trivia career. He has an IMDb page.
Who does?
Roberts does.
He's an actor?
Well, he has an IMDb page.
It had to have been like Little Big League or something, right?
That's what I was just thinking too. So he was in. He's been on Sunday Night Baseball. Yeah, this is just like credits for. These are just credits for like Sunday Night Baseball games that he was on during his career. So no, not an actor, just a baseball player.
Well, that's kind of lame.
Does every person that's ever been on Sunday Night Baseball have an IMDb page? Because that seems like a humongous waste.
That actually really does.
Database. Like,
How do I find my way into Sunday Night Baseball? Am I good enough at baseball for that?
Well, I had an idea, but I'm not going to say it because it might encourage an idiot to do it. I was going to say maybe if you streak on the field as Sunday Night Baseball, that might be enough.
That's
again,
probably
not
not something I would be willing to do.
Sure.
And even if I was interested for legal reasons, I can't say that right now.
No, of course not. That would be a foolish thing to do. To the ticketing offices of T-Mobile Park, that is not among my future plans. Please do not block me from attending future games.
Would you like to be disappointed by my idea?
Yes, I would. I forgot that was why you got up.
So, again, this is on a camping trip, and we were operating on about 3.5 hours of sleep when this happened. And we were just trying to come up with really stupid things.
Which is always a great place to start.
We were going to open up a pizza restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And we were going to, well, we weren't going to. The idea was we open up a pizza place, and then we start, we make our pizzas in the shape of a D instead of like a round pizza. And we call the shop Pizza.
That reminds me, you ever watch Breaking Bad?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so Breaking Bad, famously very depressing show. A lot going on there. A lot of very heavy stuff. But it also has one of the single funniest jokes I've ever... Ooh, that was poked.
That was ripped.
Right at him. Right? That's what you call an atom ball.
Yeah, that's like bad flashbacks to high school for me.
In an episode of Breaking Bad, there's a scene where they get a bunch of pizza delivered to this, we'll call it a house party. It was a very generous use of the term house party there. But they get a bunch of pizza delivered, and they throw open the box, and one of the characters goes, "What's with this pizza? It's not cut." And the guy who ordered it goes, "That's this place's thing. They don't cut the pizza, and then they pass the savings on to you." That's what your idea just reminded me of. Like the longest walk for the shortest drink of water I've ever heard in my entire life. It also, you know what else it reminds me of? It reminds me of How I Met Your Mother, which is a terrible show. Don't watch it. But in it, Barney and Ted have this idea that they want to open a bar together and they want to name it Puzzles. And then everybody will ask them, "Why did you call it Puzzles?" And they just go, "That's the puzzle." That's on par with what you just proposed to me right now.
Come on, I don't think mine was possibly that bad. Mine wasn't even professionally written.
That's fair. That's fair. The standards for the writers of How I Met Your Mother needed to be a lot higher than they were.
I never watched that show, honestly. I don't watch a lot of TV.
I don't recommend it. Actually, you know what? I will. If you want to watch the first 4 seasons, go ahead. But as soon as Lily breaks up with Marshall, stop watching the show.
Well, now I have no reason to watch the show anymore because I already know that Lily breaks up with Marshall.
That's their side characters, dude.
Well, then why do I care if Lily breaks up with Marshall?
Because after it's not that makes the show worse. It's just that the writing starts being terrible after that.
That's fair. Do you ever watch Psych? I feel like you would like Psych.
Watched a few episodes of Psych, but never the whole show.
Psych is a very
that was
very
one of those
show.
Ones that people were always like, "Man, Nick, you would love this show." That and Silicon Valley. I've only watched 1 season of Silicon Valley.
Never watched Silicon Valley, but Psych seems almost like it's catered to you. I think
what I've heard. I should give that one a shot.
If you gave it more of a chance, I think you would like it a lot.
Probably right. I need a Netflix show. I've been way too deep into some really weird YouTube rabbit holes.
Yeah, I feel that.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately about Super Mario 64 speedruns.
Those are fun, though. Those are fun.
Those are really fun, yeah.
Have you ever seen those ones on? Have you ever seen the ones with was it Super Mario Maker? And the people make like the impossible, like literally, if you mess up like once, you're done.
I mean, there was the one that went viral when the game was
fires.
But it was it was the title of it is 1-1 with a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
There was one that I saw a couple days ago, and like Oh my god, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was like, it was just like a bunch of different pipes, and like there you had like the things like the little piranhas coming out, and each of them had like a Koopa on it, and you had to jump on all of them, grab the shell, throw it against the wall, and then bounce off it again.
Oh my god!
You had to do that like 50 times.
So the cool thing too that I like about Mario Maker that they did was you can't upload a level until you yourself have beaten it. Like there has to be a proof of concept where the level has to be beatable. You can't just upload impossible nonsense for people to, smash their head against a brick wall to play.
Yeah.
I just think about that a lot when I see some of those videos of people playing these, and it's just like the only reason you could be playing this is because someone built it and beat it, and that's just as insane.
Yeah.
Like someone had the idea to build it, and then they were like, "Yeah, I'm patient enough to spend the next 40,000 days of my life beating it until someone else can, make a YouTube video about how impossible it is."
I just don't understand how any like. I consider myself pretty good at video games, at like most ones that I play. Like
I think I'm very good at platformers.
Sure, and like I think there's not a lot of games that I've played before that I would consider myself bad at, and like I don't get how anybody ever gets that good. It's insane.
Blows my mind. I was also yesterday, this is weird and off topic, but I was on a really deep YouTube rabbit hole yesterday about the Russian Revolution.
Interesting.
That was pretty fun.
I
was on such a deep YouTube rabbit hole learning about the Russian Revolution yesterday that I didn't know about the Mariners DFAing Daniel Vogelbach until 5 hours after it happened.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know about that until hours after it happened, and I was absolutely gutted when I found out. But I was just like, "Wow, I need to step away from the YouTube for a little bit." Apparently,
see, it was interesting to me that they DFA'd him because
I thought so too.
He 100% had to have had options still, right?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know he's not the best player in the world, but he just hit 30 homers last year with a decent walk rate. Like,
well, the club, Jerry DiPoto said on a broadcast at the beginning of this season was just like, we love Dan, but he really lost his focus in the second half, and he did. Like, I mean, he hit 30 homers last season, but like 20 of those were in the first 90 games.
Yeah.
And he forgot. I mean, every Mariner, forgot how to hit in 2019, but he had something going, and he just let it go. And what's his name? Jerry DiPoto said on broadcast was just like, he really lost his focus, he lost his discipline, and we're hoping he gets that back. And it just doesn't really seem like he has. So I think the organization was treating it as a last chance season.
That's fair for sure. You typically don't see that last chance season happening. In like his third season.
Yeah,
I guess he had probably numerous chances with Chicago too, but.
Well, I mean, it's his first full. Last year was his first full season. And it looked like he'd finally broken that mold of being this quad A player, and then he just stopped.
Uh-huh.
He's not even getting his walks this season, which he may not have hit all that well in the second half last year, but he still had a decent on base percentage. He still had a great eye at the plate.
Yeah.
And this year he seems to have lost even that. He doesn't have his patience.
Yeah, if he was still walking at he probably had maybe a 10 to 12% walk rate last year.
Yeah, I mean he got his walks. He was good at it, and I mean he had the kind of batter's eye that the umpires. I think it honestly swayed umpires' decisions. Just like, oh geez, he didn't swing at this. It must have been a ball. He had that kind of eye.
Yeah.
and he just doesn't even have that.
Yeah, I know. And I know. Like I'll be in like calls with like Scott and them like frequently, and obviously the Tigers are going through a big rebuild right now too. And Scott will always be talking about. Scott was telling us at the beginning of the season about like a bunch of the like the last chance guys that they had, and you've already seen some of those guys start to get DFA'd too. Dewell Lugo, who was part of that plethora of deals when they called it Paredes and Mize and Scuball. Dewell Lugo was like the main piece of the JD Martinez trade, which is in 2017, and he's already DFA'd. And like I don't blame them for that, but like obviously like his career OPS in the majors is like 590, so he certainly deserves it, but it's just like seems like a quick trigger, like just without knowing any outside information.
It does a bit because Dan hasn't been with the Mariners. I think he came over to the Mariners in 2016.
I think that's right. Yeah.
So it does seem soon to make what almost feels like such a snap judgment, but I think in Dan's case it's been almost like 120 games of baseball that he just hasn't been able to hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I clearly he's shown no signs of being able to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just want to give some guys other opportunities. I think it would be easier to swallow like them DFAing Daniel Vogelbach if they were making smarter personnel decisions in other parts of the team. Like,
sure.
I still have a big issue with the fact that we're throwing out like Tim Lopes and D. Gordon.
And there's a drive to left field, and that is going for a home run, and that's going to make this game a 2-1 ball game.
I think it's frustrating because we've got D. Gordon and Tim Lopes are getting innings in left field, but we have outfield prospects that could be called up. Like, why? I still have no idea why Jake Fraley isn't with the team.
That's kind of surprising.
There's people outside the organization who might be like, well, why are you giving these guys innings? Like, Tim Lopes is a second baseman. D. Gordon's a shortstop. Dylan Moore's been getting innings in right field. He's a third baseman by trade. I mean, he's more of a utility man, but
yeah,
why are we doing this? Bring Fraley up.
Mm-hmm.
And some people outside the team would probably be asking, why aren't you bringing Kelenic up?
Yeah, no, I mean that's understandable.
And so, like, I think it would be easier for me to swallow them being like, well, we're going to take the innings and give them to somebody else if they were being consistent about that.
Sure. That makes
sense. Right
sense.
now, it doesn't feel like they are.
And I mean, for Vogie, I mean, I don't know if he played first or DH primarily last year, but
mostly DH. He had to play. He had to field some innings at first, especially after Encarnacion and Bruce left early in the season.
Sure. Who has been primary DHing this year?
It had been Vogelbach when the season started, but he was mostly only DHing when he was facing righties, and Tim Lopes would get the DH nod. Would get the DH nod if it was against a lefty, mostly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think somebody else was getting some DH time as well, but I for some reason I can't think of it right now. Mariners are throwing out a weird lineup today too. They gave J.P. Crawford the day off today.
Understandable.
They're giving second base prospect Sam Haggerty the leadoff spot today, who's he got his first career hit yesterday.
I feel like I know that name, but I mean I don't really know much about him.
It's there's such a hodgepodge of just like kind of good, but in terms of the other talent. Sorry, I've had the hiccups for like an hour. There's
you're
this
fine.
hodgepodge of kind of like meh infield talent in the Mariners, like compared to their other prospects, like some of the superstars they have. But he's just one of him and Patrick Wisdom and Tim Lopes too are just this kind of up the middle AAA guys that the Mariners have
Yeah.
just kind of been. Well, they brought Wisdom up last year as September call-ups and stuff like that, and then now he's down with the taxi squad. They brought Haggerty up in the move that DFA'd Fogelbach and Brian Shaw.
I would say that the Angels kind of have like a similar situation where they've got a lot of like mediocre prospects. Guys, we're obviously really top heavy with like Adele and Marsh, but then after that, it's like, so we've had a guy named Jahmai Jones in our system for a while, and he's just done nothing.
Yeah, the Mariners are going to get progressively more and more top heavy as they go along. I think they're pretty top heavy right now. Like, you know, the only two, they're not too terribly top heavy. They had a great draft this year with the pitchers they got, but in terms of like position player talent, really the single A guys that are there are Rodriguez and Marte, and other than that, we don't have a whole lot of infield guys in the wings right now.
Yeah, we have.
Because I mean, White is going to graduate from prospect status this season.
Yeah, he's honestly, there's nothing to not like about him so far.
He's been on such a was on a great tear. I mean, he had 2 home runs in a game at Dodger Stadium the other day. I had an excellent time making memes of those home runs at the expense of John Heyman. He just had MRIs, I think, on his knee the other day, and they came back negative. So, but I think he's had a knee thing going on.
We have we're pretty top heavy right now with Adele and Marsh, and Adele is certainly gonna. I would guess that he graduates this year, but then after that, I'm gonna say I think our number 3 right now is probably Reed Detmers. If I had to guess, my back hurts, man.
My back always hurts. That's my secret.
Me too, but sometimes it hurts more than others. Hi, Garrett.
Yeah, no, for sure. What's up, Garrett? How you doing?
After that, I think Jeremiah Jackson is our number 4. He's a shortstop prospect. I think he made it to high A last year, and he was kind of like your prototypical like big home run, big steal, not great on base percentage type guy.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently the athleticism is there for him to stick it short in the future, which kind of I'm excited for. He's probably not going to be up for another 2 or 3 years, though. We've got a guy named Jahmai Jones who's just done nothing. He was our number 3 for a while, and he did absolutely nothing to elevate himself any higher. So now I think he's down at like 7 or 8. We've got a few outfield prospects that are not going to have any chance to do anything because Trout, Adele, and Marsh all exist. Unless, of course, we trade Marsh and then they're up like after the Upton contract is gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think those guys are like the back half of our 10. There's like Deshaun Knowles, Trent DeVoe. I think there's one more I'm missing, but Austin Hedges with a hit. Austin Hedges just stopped playing the old game and remembered how to swing a bat.
Hey-oh, you'll love to see it.
No, but I mean, we have a lot of prospects that we don't have a need for right now, and it frustrates me because we have zero need for outfield prospects right now. Trout, Adele, Marsh, all we need.
There's a bit of that in the Mariners too, where they have such a dearth of outfield talent. It's kind of a question of like who's gonna get to stay.
Yeah, and that's got to be frustrating.
It really is. We have such a wealth of it. I mean, we got Fraley that should, in my opinion, again, should be up with the team. But you got Kellenic, who's, I mean, if you held a gun to my head and asked me if he's on the team opening day next year, I say yes, absolutely.
I would probably agree with you too.
You got Julio, who's, I mean, if you asked him, he would think he would be on the team in 2021 too. I think the team will probably kind of hold him back from that a little bit.
They'll probably try to downplay it.
Yeah. But he's that kind of guy who wants to be the best baseball player in every room he walks into. Like that's how he carries himself. That's what he expects from himself.
Yeah, and I certainly enjoy that mindset.
Yeah, and Kellenic is the same way. Those two became very, very fast friends when they met because they have such similar competitive attitudes.
Sure. Yeah.
But then you've got those three guys. You got Kyle Lewis, who's on the team right now.
Yep. Who's
proving to be every bit as good as we hoped he was, and a little bit better.
Yep.
He would have been up with the team, maybe a couple years ago if he didn't have really, really such bad knee problems.
Sure.
And everybody was worried that his defensive ability was left with those, but he robbed a home run in Dodger Stadium this week. He had a great diving play, I think, in Anaheim.
Yeah.
A week ago or a week or so ago.
Right.
So that seems to be untrue. But at that point, you've got five deeply talented outfielders there. Can't keep them all.
No, I feel the pain on that one because, I do remember who our number 3 is now, and it's yet another outfielder. It's Jordan Adams.
Yeah.
Our number 3 prospect is Jordan Adams, and so then you have Trout, Adele, Marsh. Goodwin doesn't belong in the same category as them, but he's playing really well right now.
He really is. I think he's earned his name at the bottom of the conversation. But
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's got to be in the conversation.
And then you have Justin Upton locked up, and he's just probably not going to go anywhere, unfortunately. Then towards the back half of 10, then you have the guys that I mentioned earlier. You have DeVoe and Deshaun Knowles. So then it just becomes like what I want to happen is Knowles and DeVoe are both pretty good prospects. They're both really raw, really young prospects, but they have a lot of upside to them. And I think what I want to happen is that since there's absolutely no reason for us to keep them, I would like Billy to go take those kinds of guys like DeVoe, even Adams, or anybody, trade them to rebuilding teams for those rebuilding teams' best relievers. I say it in the Angels chat a lot, but the 2 guys that I want to target really badly are Tanner Scott and Hunter Harvey from the Baltimore Orioles. And I would also actually like to include John Means in that deal now that John Means is throwing 97 from the left side.
Probably not a bad idea. And you know what? The Baltimore Orioles probably won't balk too hard at giving up some reliever talent since I don't really think they're quite close to competing quite yet. They have time to develop new reliever talent.
See, that's what I'm thinking too. And Tanner Scott and Hunter Harvey are both very, very good arms, but I would balk a little bit at Tanner Scott just because he's had some elbow concerns, but I would give up some pretty decent prospects to get Knowles not Knowles. Knowles is our guy, to get Scott and Harvey, and the better Harvey, not Matt Harvey. John Means he's going to have some control. I think Mickey Callaway could certainly do something and turn 97 from the left side into a more than usable big league starter.
Oh, for sure.
So my big idea for a big offseason move is not sign James Paxton. It's not sign Marcus Stroman. It's not trade for Matt Boyd. It's to trade for John Means.
Well, at this point, it seems like signing James Paxton might be a bit of a risk for just about anybody.
That's what I'm thinking, too. And I know that Paxton is the biggest pitcher name on the market this year in terms of talent.
In a very slim market.
It's a very, very slim market. But as far as pitchers go, Paxton would be the number 1 name. And it's just I can see the allure behind wanting him, but at the same time, we're the Angels. So why would we take a guy who just already has he just has these arm and shoulder issues already? Because for some reason, whenever you get to the Angels, everything gets exasperated.
Yeah, that's true.
Injury wise. So I could understand the wanting of James Paxton, the ace, the like true ace at the top of our rotation, but
him and Dylan Bundy 1-2 would be something.
Yeah, and don't forget
and Shohei.
Well, I'm not even thinking Shohei. I'm a little concerned about the future of Shohei's pitching. Honestly, like for the first time since he's been here, the Tommy John didn't concern me, but now I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think that's probably a reasonable take. I wonder what the Angels plan to do about that too.
I do too, but I'm very excited for Reed Detmers.
I would be too if I was you.
I have not been incredibly happy with the drafts of our past few years, other than if you look at our chat, Tatis.
There we go.
That was a shorter drive into left field, but we got a couple years ago. We got a guy. Yeah, I would agree with. Do you hear? I don't know if you heard the Padres color guy, but I would agree with what he said. Fernando Tatis is so good at baseball.
Yeah, nailing it. Absolutely nailing it.
Yeah, so a couple years ago.
Really just all there is to say.
I want to say a 2019 draft. It was either 2018 or 2019 draft, I think, in the second round. I don't know. We took a guy pretty early on named Jack Kokonowitz. He was a high school pitcher. A high school pitcher who was 6'6", 220.
Did he have the Benchwarmers birth certificate that has I am 12 written on it in green crayon?
Probably, but I have not yet got to see him throw a professional pitch because the Angels have a philosophy of drafting amateur pitchers and then they like to just kind of shut them down because they don't want to add to their workload because they've already had like their full standard season that they're used to and they don't want to add the partial rookie season on top of that, which I don't inherently disagree with.
The Mariners did that last year too with George Kirby. When they drafted him, they brought him over, and I think he only threw like 20 innings at Class A Everett.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, like to me, it makes sense to do that, but unfortunately, because of that meant that I did not get to see. I have not yet gotten to see Jack Kokonowitz throw a professional pitch, and because of that, Kokonowitz is pretty far down our top 30. I think he's about 14, maybe. He's like around 15. But realistically, I think without having seen him pitch literally at all before, I think Jack Kokonowitz could be our future ace. I am very excited about the prospect of a guy who's only 18 and already 6'6", 220. And you just know that guy's going to have stuff. You know that guy's going to have stuff, and you know that guy's going to have that really, really downward line fastball.
It's interesting because it seems like both of our systems have this very similar problem of too much outfield talent. But it sounds like in terms of pitching, we're kind of opposite right now because when I think about the Mariners pitching prospects, there's not really a whole lot of question marks there. The Mariners called up L.J. Newsome the other day. He hasn't debuted yet, I don't believe, unless he debuted today. But that's an extremely talented arm. And then our first round picks for the last 2 years were George Kirby, who I just mentioned, and Emerson Hancock.
Yep. And
Hancock, we got
Hancock,
Logan Gilbert.
Is going to be really good.
Yeah, we got Logan Gilbert as well. Our producer Peyton will remember a certain Juan Then, who he actually asked us to give him back earlier today, and I very politely declined.
We have a grand slam chance.
We got a grand slam opportunity.
Grand slam chance.
There's so much pitching. We got relievers too. Joey Gerber came up this year, but we got Sam Delaplane, who I can't wait for. So Eric Hosmer is going to have the opportunity to just give the Rangers yet another noogie.
No team has hit a grand slam in 4 consecutive games. Excuse me, producer.
Everybody get your I was here's ready.
There is one out in the inning for anybody in the chat. Just by the way. So the issue with the Angels right now, and this has been an issue that a bunch of people have been complaining about. So obviously, you know the struggles that our farm system had in the middle part of the 2010s.
Very similar to ours.
Yes. So our farm system suffered greatly. We were literally ranked the worst of all time, I think, entering the 2015 season.
Of all time?
Of all time.
I didn't know that.
I think
How did I not know that?
I'm pretty sure it was according to Baseball Prospectus, but yes. We were ranked the all-time worst farm system in history.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So, with that being said, Billy, I've tried to have this conversation a bunch of times with people to try to explain that Billy Epler has actually done a good job. And it's really, really hard to do considering that the Angels haven't made the playoffs. But it's also really hard to make the playoffs when you are basically told to not do the thing that you're good at, which is restock your farm system. And Billy has done a phenomenal job of drafting. I think he's made some questionable first-round choices, but I think he's made really, really good every other pick.
And you and I have had this conversation off camera before, but you've been so adamant about how hamstrung that he's been in his endeavor to try and make this team a contender because the ownership group won't give him the tools. So he's basically had to reinvent the wheel in an attempt to do something with this. You know, he's had to reinvent the wheel for a team that's been spinning its wheels since the mid 2000s.
Yeah, and I would basically die by that take, because if you look back at what Billy has tried to do, so Billy has drafted really well, I think, for the first round, and obviously, like, first round picks aren't always going to hit, but I mean, he got Joe Adell. Jordan Adams has been way better than I thought he would be. Brandon Marsh is phenomenal. He missed with Taylor Ward and Matt Theis, but no way!
No way!
Oh my God!
Yes! Oh my God! They just sent a close up of Chris Woodward too. Oh my goodness!
Oh my God!
I can't believe what I am seeing right now. Just incredible form.
Oh my Lord!
Just incredible form by the San Diego Padres. My goodness. What are we talking?
Oh my God, that makes me so happy.
What are we talking about?
I cannot believe that happened.
Wow. Slam Diego.
I'm dumbfounded.
I'm speechless.
I don't.
Holy cow. You know, and after Tatis hit his grand slam too, we didn't mention this at the top, but after Tatis hit his grand slam too, in the game, Eric Hosmer had it kind of appeared that Hosmer had pulled Tatis to the side and almost kind of seemed like he was kind of telling Tatis that it was maybe wrong of him to swing there.
Yeah.
And I think I think with the benefit of hindsight, I think I kind of climbed on Eric Hosmer a little bit early, but I think with the benefit of hindsight, I think maybe it might not have been like a, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that. I think it might have been maybe a, hey, here's what you can expect to hear from what you just did. Yeah. But I love that it was Eric Hosmer that just did that, because my goodness, he looked so excited about it. And Tatis was on second for that too. Like that was awesome.
Oh my God, I can't believe that.
Grand slams in 4 games.
Oh, I'm so happy we did this game.
Oh man, am I glad too.
Oh, that's electric.
And here I was worried that there would be a Padres-Rangers game that didn't have a grand slam in it. How silly of me.
Look at him. He's riding the plane to
He
first.
knows. He knows.
Oh, baby, that's sick.
Whew.
Oh, man. Oh, that was so cool.
I was here.
Oh, that was so
Dog.
cool.
And just to think, if Eric Hosmer had walked just a couple innings ago, or excuse me, if Will Myers had walked just a couple innings ago, Eric Hosmer's could have been the second grand slam of this game. You never know. You just never know. That's baseball, man.
That is unbelievable. I cannot, dude.
Yeah.
Chris Woodward single-handedly cursed the Rangers.
I'm Googling.
There's literally no way to explain that other than that. That is just the most ridiculous thing.
He really has summoned forth a plague upon this team, and that plague is 4-run home runs.
That's incredible, man.
So Chris Woodward has another season on his contract and an option for 2022. Wait a minute. Yeah. Man. What an absurd turn of events.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. I wanted to say it out loud. Like when Hosmer came up, I wanted to just be like jokingly. I was like, "Oh, well, bases loaded. There's a 100% chance that this at bat ends with a grand slam." My god!
They put up the graphic too. That was just to be like, "Hey, nudge, nudge. Wouldn't that be cool?" And I was like, "Yeah, it would be cool." And boy, and think about it too. If this was 2019, Eric Hosmer puts that on the ground.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's electric. I love baseball. I hate the Rangers.
Good Lord.
I want to try to find somebody has got to have some better context tweets than. See, we got the Padres grand slammed again. Yeah, a lot of grand slam tweets, but I mean, nothing really that we didn't know, I guess, because I mean, we just saw that that was the first team ever with grand slams in 4 straight games. Oh man, that's cool.
Even the broadcast is dumbfounded.
I would be too, man. Like, how do you react to history? I mean, I guess like how we did.
So obviously, what has to happen is we just have to do every single Padres game for the rest of the season until they don't hit a grand slam.
I would be willing to bet that that's probably going to be tomorrow.
I feel like the safe money is on that. Yeah.
The Padres tweeted, "Guess what we did with the bases loaded."
Do you think the Rangers leave their replies on for the post game for the game recap tweet today?
I would have to say probably, which is just gonna make it blasted even harder. Like the Rangers' social media is in the worst position of all time right now. It's like,
yeah, that was They say all news is good news, but
certainly not.
That's about to be deeply untrue for the Texas Rangers the next time they open up their replies.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I am prepared for the ratio of all ratios. I can't wait to see how many quote tweets. It's gonna be a meme gold mine. I'm sure there will be plenty of nuanced conversation happening in there too, but it's gonna be interesting. I love the cutout with the dogs over Gallo's shoulder.
I enjoy that as well.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the one that's on the left, on the umpire's left, there's a dog wearing sunglasses in the front row.
Yeah, I think so, right? Like 1 o'clock from home plate.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
it's just right over the umpire's, on our right, his left shoulder.
I feel like this would be a very, very not fun lefty at bat.
Well, he throws from such the extreme first base side of the rubber.
We were talking about favorite at bats from high school earlier, and I was talking with Peter a couple days ago. Peter's another guy that we have over at DD, and
Indians writer.
Yeah, I was talking with him. I was curious if he had ever faced a side armor when him and Scott, actually, I was asking both of them if they had ever faced any side armors, like if there was just any in their league. Because when I was in high school, we had, I think my junior year, we probably had 4 or 5 guys who were straight side armors. And like not even relievers either. Like my sophomore year, we finished 3rd place, and the best team in our conference was their 2 starting pitchers. Like their Wednesday and their Friday starters were both side armors, and their primary reliever was a side armor.
Oof.
Then there was another team who their number 2 pitcher was a side armor. Another team, their number 1 side armor. So it was just unbelievable how many I had to face because they were all right-handed, and we would face like non-conference people, and it's like okay, this guy's low 3/4, this guy's side armor. It's like, dude, so like chill. Why is everybody in Southern California a side armor right now?
It was the new hotness.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's this one guy, my sophomore year. I started off as the 9-hitter, and then at some point I had found myself into the 3-hole. So this is like one of my first or second games in the 3-hole, and we're down by like 3 to this guy. Big guy. He threw like lower 3/4, probably like 87, 88, good arm side run. And our coach had the whole philosophy of like, take till you get a strike if we're down in the 7th. And it's like, okay, like I can get behind that. So I'm going out on deck circle, and our bench coach comes up to me and he goes, listen, like, I know he's got that take till you get a strike thing, but if you see a pitch that you like on the first pitch, you swing at it. Like if there's anybody on this team that I trust to pick a pitch that they like, it's going to be you right now. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like a 14-year-old sophomore, 15-year-old sophomore, and I'm like, oh God, like, in my head I'm thinking, okay, now I have to swing first pitch because he told me to swing at it if I like it, and if it's a good pitch and I take it, I'm gonna look like an idiot to him.
Yeah.
So then I go up and I'm just thinking, I am going to swing at the first pitch almost no matter where it's thrown, and if I get a hit, I'm gonna look great. If I don't get a hit, my coach is gonna be so mad.
Yeah.
And you know where the first pitch was? The first pitch was a up and in fastball, bearing in on my hands with that arm side run from his throwing motion, and I swung.
Just went right under it, didn't
you? Oh
you?
yeah. Oh, it was about 3 to 4 inches inside, and it was probably above the zone. And I bailed out when I swung. Like at the same time, like I step. I'm like in the middle of my leg kick, and I'm like in the middle of my swing, and I'm like, this ball is so far inside, and I stepped in the bucket hard, through hands, and somehow got barreled there, and I ripped a double down the left field line. I was like, there's no way ever that I should have been able to hit that ball, much less barrel it.
But you get down to second base, and you're just like, let's go! Like
I get down to second, and it's just like, and I'm like running down the first baseline, and I can hear my coach. He's like yelling at our other bench coach. He's like, "Yeah, I told him to swing at that."
I feel my coach. If I did something like that, he would have given me the major league to Willie May, the manager from Major League to Willie Mays Hayes. Hey, nice catch, kid. Don't ever do it again.
Yeah, right, dude. And it's like okay, I like. That year, I was good at hitting inside fastballs. Like I was fine at turning inside fastballs and hitting them hard in the left field. But if Pat actually knew how bad a pitch that was, he would have lost his mind. To this day, I still don't think he has any idea how bad of a pitch I actually swung at.
Yeah, I can definitely hear my coach being like, "Hey, nice hit. What are you doing swinging at that, though?"
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know.
Go away! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my God! They just sent a close-up of Chris Woodward too. Oh my goodness! Oh my God. I can't believe what I am seeing right now. Just incredible form.
Oh my Lord!
Just.
I'm glad that we had that reaction captured for posterity.
Me too.
I would like Tatis to hit another home run, just because that would be funny.
That would be funny. Just keep grinding.
It's only a 3-run game right now, so I think it's
I think it's
allowed
safe to do. We didn't really have any dedicated sidearmers in my league, but we did have a guy who had maybe like at 110 degrees, like not side armor, but definitely a low profile.
Sure.
Threw really hard.
Yeah.
Was actually made it into the Cardinals organization for a little bit.
Interesting.
But,
okay.
Some knee problems. I think I actually ran into him last year. And I think it was his knees that ended up being the end of his career.
Yeah.
But his name's Andrew Somerville.
Okay.
But even in high school, he threw just so unreasonably hard. He threw for Lakeside. In my senior year, we faced him twice. Both our games against Lakeside, he was the starter.
Okay.
And I think we won both of those games, but it wasn't because we did well against him at all. I think I was like one of the only guys on our team that season to get a hit off of him, and it was just like it was one of those like he could just carve us up because no one could catch up to him. Nobody could read it out of his hand because it was just going faster than any of us had really seen.
Oh, I feel that.
And I just got like a jam shot off the hands on a cold day. On a cold day.
Oh, I bet that felt great.
Just jammed in, and it just looped over the first baseman's head. And I know you can only see like my shoulders up for the viewers, but
Sure.
I am not a small human being, and the result of that is I do not run fast. And so I barely leg out this like loop into like shallow right field because the second baseman almost gets there and throws me out to the pitcher who was covering. Like I couldn't even outrun the pitcher over to first. But I got safe and I got there and I was just like, I collapsed. I was like, yes, I got a hit off this guy. And I don't think I ended up advancing from there, but I go back in and my shortstop is just like, hey, maybe don't get so excited about a bloop single to right field next time. And I was just like, you know what? You're probably right.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Oh my god, dude, there was a so I don't know how like high school worked for you guys like rankings wise, but so for us it worked similar to how college does. So like D1 is at the top, D2, D3, and then there was like D4, D5, D6, like whatever.
Yeah.
So we were Division 3. But seeing as how that's based on school size and not actual talent, we had a D3 team. There was a D3 team that was the number 3 team in the state. Because they were a smaller school relatively, but they just had this absolute dearth of talent. They were the first ever back-to-back CIF winners. So CIF is like California Interscholastic Federation, and that's just like what the state championship is called. Obviously not a state championship because California is enormous, but it was like, so we were in part of CIF Southern section. They were the first ever back-to-back CIF winners for baseball. And because of them, they restructured the way that everything is ranked for California high school teams. So then they started doing it based off of talent and like did legitimate power rankings instead of just leaving school size. It was literally because of them. But since they were D3 when I was there, we had to face them. And the first time that we faced them, they had a guy who was 6'7" and threw 92. And I will tell you, in Little League, did you have like the one pitcher that made people quit?
Yeah.
Sure.
I know. I know his name right off the top of my head too. I know exactly. I know. Him. I can picture him.
This guy was almost that dude for me in high school.
Yeah.
I was our best hitter in high school, and I looked at this guy throwing, and I was like, I don't want to do this.
It's just like, what am I supposed to do against this?
Dude, it was 6'7" coming straight down. Like we're talking like this plane. Like that's like 92, and then by the time he got down to the mound, like that's like 97.
Yeah,
then he would just throw a slider. He would throw a slider just for fun. It's like my first at bat off him, like the first fastball he threw me, I thought it was gonna bounce, and it was at the knees for a strike. It was literally that guy who made me realize that I was not gonna do well in college baseball.
Yeah. There's always that moment. It's just like, oh, that's what they're looking for.
Dude, okay. Do you know how bad it felt to just understand that I was never going to do well in college baseball off of one pitch?
Yeah.
It took me one pitch to realize that. And then, so he throws me fastball, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, okay, gearing up for fastball. I'm going to swing at this pitch. And then the slider bounced like 2 feet in front of the plate, and I swung at it anyways. I'm like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
We lost 15-1. He also had 7 RBIs that game. He got drafted in the 3rd round as an outfielder.
Good Lord.
That dude literally would have been Chris Young.
That's crazy. I think Somerville was the only guy in our division. He's the only one that I can think of. Actually, Lakeside just produced another talent that was drafted last year, who went 6th overall, Chris Carroll.
Yeah.
Or Corbin Carroll, excuse me.
Okay.
He went 6th overall to the Dodgers in the 2019 draft, Corbin Carroll. So you were asking how my high school, also D3.
Yep.
And it works well for some sports, and it works really poorly for other sports. For example, our football team shouldn't exist. They just shouldn't have one. But in other sports, we had always had a really good swim team. We just had a really, really good girls soccer team.
Yep.
And but baseball was always kind of a mixed bag.
Okay.
But my senior year, we had Lakeside was really good. Off of that Somerville kid a lot, but they had a good offense too. But the team that was really good, that we had to beat 3 times in order to make it to state, was Eastside Catholic.
Sure.
And easily the best game we played all year actually probably two of our best games we played all year were both the regular season games against Eastside Catholic. The first one was this a game we won 1-0 off of a complete game shutout effort by our starter that game, who just went absolutely beast mode, just shut them down. And we went into that game knowing it was going to be a really tough game. Like these guys were like, they were undefeated going into that game. They were like 6-0 or 8-0 or something like that going into that game. And he just shut them down. And it was it was such a gripping, entertaining game. But I remember I was on the bench that whole game and I had the book. And I just got really invested in just being like, kept letting my coach know. I was like, hey, he's got this many pitches. And then like the fifth inning, he looked at me and he was like, he's not coming out anytime soon. He was like, Nick, I don't care how many pitches he's thrown. He hasn't given up a run yet. Like he's staying in. And I was like, fair enough.
How many did he end up throwing?
I think he threw like 80.
Oh, that's not even that bad, man.
No, it's really not.
I was about to say,
he carved him up.
My buddy threw 127 one time.
He carved him up that game. It was crazy.
I think the most I threw. I stopped pitching after my freshman year, but I was our Friday starter as a freshman, and I was our Wednesday starter, but because I was worse. But I threw like 4 straight complete games, I think, to end my season, and I think the most pitches I threw was 117, and I think I threw 100 all 4 of those times. There was one game we were facing like the worst team in our conference, and man, they were so bad, dude. Like, okay, so the time before that we faced them, we won 27-2. And the time after this time I'm about to tell you about, we won 42-3 in 4 innings.
Good Lord.
Yeah, bad. 42-3.
Chris Woodward would have been very unimpressed.
I got 4 at bats in 2 innings, and then they pulled me for subs.
Yeah, Chris Woodward would have been very unimpressed.
I also went 0 for 2 in the first inning with a strikeout. I struck out to a kid that had one hand, by the way. He was their best player, and it wasn't even close. He was like their best hitter on varsity as a senior with one hand.
That's pretty cool.
He was actually like Buster only did a piece on him.
Did he really?
Yeah, I'll if you care enough to read it, I could probably find it. And
definitely send me that because now I'm interested.
He was a cool guy. During our senior All-Star game, it was like conference versus conference, and so he was on my team for once. And like we had always just like interacted, obviously, because like we had played against him for 4 years, and then, dude, we're about to take the field for the game. He taps me on the shoulder, and then he slapped me with his nub left hand, or with his
Good Lord.
He just slapped me with it and ran away laughing, and I was like, dude. I was like, I could not believe that he just. That was one of the weirdest things that I've ever experienced in my life.
I bet that's his favorite thing to do too.
Oh, probably. Like, no, he was a super cool dude.
Probably got a great sense of humor about it.
Oh yeah.
But, you might know this because you've read the Buster Only thing, and I'm sure he talks about it. But he was born with one hand?
I'm pretty sure he was born.
Or did he lose it in like a freak wood chopping accident?
I'm fairly sure that he was born with it.
Okay. So he's just got a really, really good attitude about it.
Yeah, no, he was a really cool dude, and I never really like kept up with. I think he was actually going to play like at his community college, and I didn't really keep track of what happened to him after that. But so we're facing his team my freshman year, and it was my turn to pitch, and then like, I mean, it was kind of like a lower effort start for me, obviously, because like we had just beat them by 25 the time before, and I was like, okay, it was kind of lower intensity. It was kind of,
for sure.
The plan was to just get like our subs in there to get like their playing time as soon as we could. But so 4 innings go by, and I am I have not. I have gone 12 up, 12 down with 10 strikeouts. And
Good Lord.
you know, like I'm feeling good. Like I went 12 up, 12 down with 10 strikeouts on about 51 pitches. And I'm feeling good. Like whatever.
Yeah, I bet you're feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling really good. And then my coach comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna put Zach in next inning." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "Yeah, like I know what's happening, but it's against Santa Ana." And I was like, "Dude, like, are we kidding me here? Like, do you know what's going on?" Oh man, I was so mad.
Grisham, not quite.
He the guy that came in ended up losing the perfect game with I want to say like 1 out in the 6th. He might have even lost it the very next inning, but I was so mad, and I shouldn't have been, because like it was against a team that barely deserved to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously it would have been like if like Max Scherzer like threw a perfect game against like a community college team.
Jeez. Yeah.
You know, like obviously there would have been a little bit of a disagreement on how valid it was, but I would have still liked to say I threw a perfect game. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like you did. I don't know how I don't know how else you could read that. That's just Skip letting you down, man.
I've done my baseball career has been really weird, man. I never hit an over the fence home run before, but I did hit for the cycle once.
Counts.
We played. It was like one of those fields with no fences that like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And wow, I'm catching myself up on the Blazers right now because I got a commercial going on. The Blazers scored 39 points in the first half.
Good Lord.
Not
That's
great.
not great.
It's truly not.
I'm gonna be right back, okay?
That's fine. I don't know if you guys hear any of the NBA playoffs, but I am always a fan, so I was very happy with the way the first round went. I was really glad that the second 1 seed to go down to an 8 seed happened to be at the hands of Damian Lillard, aka the best point guard in the league. Don't get it twisted. But unfortunately, that is not even close to the case tonight. My goodness. I have no idea. I have no idea what happened. I've been here, but we're down 27 with 8 to go in the third. So that's not fantastic. On the other hand, I did get to see Eric Hosmer hit yet another grand slam against the Rangers, and I honestly cannot complain too much about that, because there's one team that can claim 4 grand slams in 4 games. Well, maybe that's not true, but a grand slam in 4 straight games. And we were here to see that one, so I think I would rather take that right now. Keeps me from having to watch the Blazers get absolutely dumpstered, which is a nice little saving grace that I have right now. Welcome back. Are you still muted? Hello? I got nothing on your end. Got that. And I'm not getting that now. Your mic is still like up on your ear, I think. Oh. Oh, well, I don't. That was weird. I heard the snaps, but I couldn't hear you.
How about now?
That was very, very, very faint, but I heard it. I'm gonna pretend like I know what you said, but I don't. Jose Suarez is getting taken out of the game for the Angels in the second inning with 1 out. 4-1. He already gave up 5 hits.
It happens to the best of us.
Oh, it truly does.
I was saying when you told me my mic wasn't working, I was just like, I know how to fix this, and then I no one could see it but me, but I just went and opened my Windows tab and just hovered the restart button on my laptop for a second.
I would have not been incredibly happy with you if you just left me alone for all that much longer. I'm not incredibly enthusiastic about the way that the Angels season is going, other than the fact that if we lose 25 more games in a row, we might get ourselves the first pick in the draft.
If you get Kumar Rocker and we don't, there will be fists. There will be fists in your general direction, sir.
I'll just make sure not to make any more trips to Seattle anytime soon.
That's okay. I know where Iowa is. I've heard of it.
Yeah, but the thing is, you'll never be able to find me. Everything looks the same here.
That's a good point. Yeah, just where do I find you? And you're just look for the cow and keep going. And I'm like, dang it, which cow? Oh.
So I don't know if you're seeing this the little clip that they just showed with Evan Longoria. But so it was Longoria hitting a home run.
Now. Mark DeRosa.
It was Longoria hitting a home run for his 1,000th career RBI.
Okay.
What do you think about Evan Longoria for the Hall of Fame?
I think it's a long shot. I think he's a long shot. I think he's an outside Hall of Fame candidate.
Mm.
I think he's had Hall of Fame moments. I think Wild Card Day.
Yeah.
When I think of Evan Longoria still to this day, and I will for the rest of my life. When I think of Evan Longoria, the first thing I think about would be Wild Card Day.
Do you know his stats very well off the top of your head, or would you be surprised if I read you?
Not off the top of my head, but I sure would love to have my mind changed on it.
Okay. So Evan Longoria right now, he is. I just need to see how old he is because I don't know that off the top of my head. But okay, Evan Longoria, 34 years old this year. This is his age 34 year. Last year I'll go through his Giants career so far. His Giants career last year he had 2.5, and the year before he had 1.7 WAR. Before that he had 3.8, 4.4, 4.5. His defense has always been very good, other than a slight regression in 2016. This year he has 2 DRS already. Last year he had 7. The year before he had 3. 2017 in Tampa he had 15, and has been worth 109 defensive runs saved for his career. His career OPS is only 809, and his career OBP is only 335. That being said,
he never was a walker. He was always a bit of a free swinger.
That being said, to this point in his career, At age 34, Evan Longoria has put up 56.4 career WAR.
At 34, that's pretty impressive.
And I think there's an outside shot that he reaches 70. I think he's going to put himself kind of in that Scott Rowland territory.
Well, that was it 2010, that 2010 season where he was just really, really good because he won Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
And that was in, I'm trying to pull it up right now, but I think that was in 08. It was in 08.
Yeah.
And then, his 2010 season, he was worth 8.2 WAR. His peak, he was really good, but it wasn't a very long peak.
No, it definitely wasn't. He's been more of like a kind of, I was really good for a few years, and then I was just pretty good for the most of the rest.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, honestly. Why does this guy coming in look like Joe Blanton?
I didn't see it.
I don't know. You remind me of Joe Blanton, and this scared me. I don't like to think about Joe Blanton.
I mean, so let's see. He's a 3-time Gold Glove winner.
Mm-hmm.
He finished 6th in MVP in that 2010 season.
Yep.
I want to see who beat him that year. That was Josh Hamilton's 32 and 100 RBI year. Josh Hamilton hit 360 that year? What are we talking about? Yeah.
Yep. He only played in like 130 games, if I remember right.
He played in 133 games.
Yeah.
Evan Longoria that season got less votes than Paul Konerko.
I remember Paul Konerko having a very good year. Paul Konerko finished 3rd, I think.
He finished 5th. Paul Konerko hit 312, 393, 584 for a 977. He had 39 home runs and 111 RBIs.
Yep, I remember the 2010 year very, very vividly because that was Carlos Gonzalez's breakout. Also, Carlos Gonzalez that year hit. I think I almost had these numbers down to a T, but Gonzalez, I want to say, hit 336, 36 homers, 116 RBIs. I think they all ended with 3, or they all ended with 6.
Big 6 guy. Yeah, I think when it comes to Evan, I still think outside chance at the Hall.
Sure.
But his peak just was not long enough. Like he had a 3-year peak. And then he followed up 2011 where he 2009 to 2011, he had 7.7 WAR, 8.2, and 7.2.
Mm.
And then in 2012, he had an injury problem. He only played 74 games. And he had 2.5 WAR, but he came back from that in 2013 and had almost 6. And then after that, it's just been a precipitous drop every year. Like he just had such a short peak.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree with that.
And he doesn't have super flashy counting stats either. Like he's one shy of 300 career home runs, which is not bad, but I don't know if that's enough home runs to really grab the attention. I mean, you mentioned earlier he's, recently crested 1,000 RBIs. He's now at 1025. But I mean, he's 34. I don't know which shocks me. For some reason, I thought he was a lot older than that.
Yeah, he's been in the league forever, man.
But he's just not been productive these last few years, and I just don't. I mean, the Giants. Speaking of franchises that are spinning their wheels, I don't know what the Giants are planning, so I don't know how much longer they'll keep him on the team for. But
you want to talk about a team without a plan, man?
Yeah, for real. John Heyman, why aren't you tweeting about them?
Because they won 3 World Series this decade.
don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean this decade? It's 2020.
In the last decade.
Good point. Yes, of course. How foolish of me.
Don't worry, the Angels are going to win 3 this decade.
But I just don't see how consistently hitting around 250 with, a handful of home runs is going to keep him in the league.
I don't have an answer for you, but people make stupid decisions all the time, so he will find a way to stay in the league for the next 2 or 3 years.
That's true. I mean, yeah.
Love you too, Eddie.
Mariners were just in Texas last week before they went off to Los Angeles to face the Dodgers for 2, and they just wrapped up 2 at home with the Dodgers.
Yep.
And I bring this up because I just heard his name, but during that series in Texas, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had the most absurd defensive series against the Mariners. Anything hit in his direction, it was an out.
We have outfield prospects,
and I really just genuinely did not realize how good he was at third.
Is he really that good?
I mean, if he plays third the way he does in the games that Seattle was in Texas for, then yeah, he's pretty damn good at third.
Interesting. Okay.
Because he was either he was just playing exceptionally well that week, like he just maybe he had a sore foot for the last couple months, and then his foot felt better for 3 games against Seattle. But boy, he really put something to an impressive defensive display. Speaking of impressive defense, oh, never mind, they ruined it. Never mind. But yeah, he just looked so good. But I was thinking while I was watching it, I was like, is this kid really this good at third? Because that must be exciting for Texas that they don't have to miss Adrian Beltre anymore.
Yeah. Mitch Moreland just hit another home run, by the way. He might be leading the American League in OPS by now.
Yeah, that he really just won't stop hitting.
Big bare hand guy.
You think Baez? Oh, me too. You think Baez goes into the dugout after this inning and is just like, really, man? I put my pitching hand on the line and you threw it away?
Listen, I would not feel bad in the slightest if I'm Cronenworth right there. It's like, dude, I did not tell you to use your bare hand. You were just an idiot.
No, for sure. I mean, how many times do you have to tell the players tell their pitchers not to bare hand plays?
Like, sorry,
for that exact
stupid.
Reason. Exactly.
I'm very glad that this is keeping me from watching the Angels.
I didn't. I'll be honest. Before we started this, I was playing some online video games and completely blanked. There's a balk. Interesting. Completely blanked on that the Mariners game started. Was an afternoon game, so I watched maybe like in total like a half inning, and that whole half inning that I watched was while we were doing this broadcast. My cat's really on one right now.
I'm guessing that was I don't even know if I saw the block right there. He's just maybe like the slightest shifting of the hands. But
I don't know if he maybe picked up his foot and didn't the umpire just called him on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Great block, Hedges.
If I wasn't a baseball fan and I lived in San Diego and a friend of mine was like, hey, I got tickets to this Padres game, obviously not in 2020, but someone was like, hey, I got a ticket to this Padres game. You want to go check it out? And be like, sure. And you get in and you see all this like brown and yellow merchandise.
Dude, I think they go hard.
I feel like at the moment I would be like, what, really, brown and yellow is the color scheme we're going with? And then I'd get out there and I'd see the players wearing it and I'd be like, okay, I get it, because when they said they were going back to the brown and yellow and mostly ditching the navy, I was just like, that's an interesting choice, but I think these unis are great.
I was really in favor of that choice because, not that I have an issue with navy, I just think it's overdone because literally everybody has some form of blue.
Yeah.
So I was really, really happy with their decision to move to the Browns because I think the brown jerseys are just phenomenal, especially the pinstripes.
Yeah, I think these home
pinstripes
look awesome.
I was about to say, there's no way that there's gonna send that runner on a ball hit that hard.
Well, they're not gonna send the catcher around to score on that. That's for sure.
I just don't think you send anybody on that ball. That ball was smoked, man.
Absolutely not.
Who is that just hit? Heineman?
Yeah, I believe so.
We've got the live tracker on our chat. I'm waiting for it to update with the exit velo on that last ball. And we've got nothing yet. It's okay. It's not a grand slam situation, so they're not going to hit it. They're not going to do anything.
No, of course, yeah. Chris Woodward isn't clutching his pearls yet.
Oh, that's very red. Oh my God, what does that say? I can't even read what that says. It's just very, very red.
104.6.
That's what I thought it said, but like I couldn't. It was like kind of bugging in and out for me, and I honestly thought it said 134 for a second. I was like, that is not right.
That seems a bit exact. That seems a bit much. Do you think Chris Woodward thinks his team can come back from a 3-run deficit in the 7th inning?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, obviously, Chris Woodward just thinks that his team sucks.
Clearly, that is his firm and undying belief. And who am I? Who am I to take away that opinion from him? I'm just some punk kid. He's the real baseball genius here. 3-0.
Oh, man.
Maybe Baez we do get a bases loaded.
I was about to say, Baez can't find the zone right now, man.
Maybe he hurt his throwing hand barehanding that ground ball.
That's probably not a bad take. I would love to see Patino in this game. I didn't know, so I've never seen his name like on a jersey or anything. I didn't know that it had the little tilde. So I didn't know it was Patino and not Patino.
You were saying Patino the whole time?
Well, yeah, because that's just always the way I saw it spelled. Yeah. I never saw anybody tweeted or anything with the little tilde. I always thought it was Patino or Patino.
Which, the baseball rule is like anything with a tilde or a hyphen is automatically an S to your name.
That is true. The Blazers have scored a total of 58 points at the end of 3 quarters. It is 88-58.
It doesn't really. I'm. Hot take about basketball. But if you want to win, you really got to score more points than your opponent.
I think,
and it's really hard to do when you're not.
I think it's good when I think it's bad when you have the same amount of points in 3 quarters as you had in 2 the night before.
Yeah.
It's also generally not a good thing to be down by 30 in the last quarter. Don't quote me on that. Not a big basketball guy.
I won't. Again, not a big basketball guy here either. Well, we got bases loaded again.
And one of their better hitters up too.
Santana having a good year. No, it's not going to do it.
That is certainly not going to do it.
We'll get out of play, though. Just still, even with, can't get over with off speed, can't get his fastball over, just can't get anything over. Still looking really good in the brown and yellow, though.
Max Stassi is leaving the game for the Angels right now.
Oh!
Oh! Oh, it was almost an unbelievable catch.
Grisham almost pushed it over.
Honestly, if that was me, I probably would have caught it.
Yeah, rip to Grisham, but I'm different.
I'm just simply different.
That was a great pitch to hit, too. Just right off the heel of the glove. Well, he may not have been able to find the strike zone, but he didn't get a whole lot of defensive help either.
I mean, that's not the easiest play in the world.
No, it's not. That ball was crushed, but it just bounced right off the glove. I mean, I'm sure Grisham.
Yeah, that's a very catchable ball.
I'm sure Grisham is very frustrated that he didn't come down with that.
Yeah, that's a very, very catchable ball.
Well, not another grand slam, but it does tie the game. So Chris Woodward can't be too mad about it. It's not, a grand slam didn't change the leader or the game at all. So
we're in interesting territory now. And boy, am I on a comfy couch to watch it.
That couch does look miserably comfortable. You were showing off that couch before we went on air.
And you know what? It was absolutely miserable to get up here either because, I'm not kidding you. The stairway to get up here is about this wide.
Oh, God.
And my God, did we have the worst time trying to get that thing up here.
So this apartment that I'm in right now, I will be moving out of by the end of this month. And there's only really one thing in this apartment that's not the most fun thing in the world. Well, nothing realistically is the most fun thing in the world to move. But our couch is really, really, really unfun to move. And we have this very long, very narrow hallway with just a sharp 90 degrees at the end of it.
Yep.
And I don't remember how we got that couch into this apartment, and I'm really not looking forward to recreating it to move it out in less than 2 weeks.
it got to the point yesterday we were trying to figure out how to get it up here, and one of my neighbors came out and he unscrewed one of the lights so we didn't break it, and then
Smart.
he who is significantly stronger than all of us because he works out for about 3 hours every day, helped us, shouldered the load of carrying that thing up the stairs and trying to finagle it around.
Give it some pivots.
Yeah. And man, it was just the worst time of my life.
Thanks.
I made sure that they were adequately compensated for their work.
Excellent. Pizza and beer?
Mostly the beer.
Mostly the beer? Beer's always good.
The pizza will come at another time. That's a different time that I didn't just eat dinner.
Yeah, fair.
Because if I'm going to buy pizza, I obviously want some too. So
reasonable take. Speaking of dinner.
I miss my sandwich.
Did you not finish it?
No, I did, but I miss it.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I had a couple hot dogs before we went live here. Really getting into the baseball spirit. Brian, what do you put on hot dogs?
I don't usually put things on hot dogs, honestly. I am kind of a freak for that.
Just a bun and tube kind of guy?
Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of a freak for that. That's what I understand.
I don't necessarily think so. My grandma's a big fan of naked dogs, but I will say that my grandma is also the kind of person, she likes naked dogs, but she likes her hot dogs not dark, not charred, but just like burned. Like she likes like grilled hot dogs, and she wants them black.
Sure. I don't necessarily prefer that much. I prefer mine a little bit more on that side, but not really black.
Yeah. I want some good marks on there, but don't like please don't stick my hot dog in the coals kind of deal. That's how she wants it. My hot dogs, I like just mustard, onions, and relish. And if I'm at home, I'll put hot sauce on them. Okay,
that's fair. I just straight up don't like ketchup or mustard, and those are the two primary hot dog things to do. Well, I don't like mustard at all. Ketchup is fine in some scenarios, but I don't like. I don't know. It's just something about both of them.
Yeah. So I don't know if you had one while you were up here. But do you know what the Seattle dog is?
I do not.
So a Seattle dog is cream cheese, grilled onions, and sriracha.
Interesting.
And I personally, my roommate and I argue about this all the time because he thinks that the best cheese that humanity has ever come up with is cream cheese, which is absurd when we live in a world where camembert exists, but that is a topic for an entirely different broadcast. But I don't love cream cheese nearly as much as he does. But he just like absolutely rides for the Seattle dog. And he gets legitimately very angry whenever I get a dog, but I don't get the cream cheese on it. But I just like, how does that sound to you? Like, does that sound like something you would eat? There's neither ketchup nor mustard on that.
I mean, I'm honestly like anything like that where it's like kind of like a special creation. I am willing to try anything at least once.
Oh, for sure.
So I certainly would not be opposed to trying it.
I think the only thing I ever turned down because I just genuinely didn't want to know if it was good or not was there was this one time I went to this place that put peanut butter on a hamburger. And my friend was like, no, dude, seriously, it's really good. You got to try it. And I was like, it might be good. Man, he just got a hold of one off the wall.
Oh, man, he better hurry and get off second because he was watching that ball. Because he watched that ball.
He did. He gave that one a look for a second, but he got on his horse around
Hey,
first.
as long as he gets there, I don't really care what he did.
He's not trying to get thrown out again. But yeah, peanut butter on a burger, and I was just like, I'm sure that it's probably good, but the problem is if it's good, I'm gonna want to eat it again, and I can't force that much cholesterol into my
really
heart every time I go to this place. Like, I can't do it.
See, I'm not gonna lie. Do you know what one thing I was really worried about liking was?
What?
The crickets.
Oh, but the crickets are good.
I didn't like them.
Oh,
I almost threw up.
Well, you know what the problem was is you didn't get the Hosmer.
Oh, Hosmer again!
One, not.
Oh man, that was so misleading off the bat.
More of an atom ball. That looked a lot.
Oh, that was so misleading off the bat. Oh, I hate you, Hosmer.
So the problem with the crickets, Brian, when you were here, was that they weren't the same crickets. They had this weird like Southwest like seasoning. Now, when we got them the first time we got them, they had a chili lime seasoning. Those were really good. I liked those a lot. I could eat those like potato chips. Ooh, Manny rolled his ankle a little bit going back to the bag there.
Yeah. See, I simply cannot get behind the idea of eating crickets. Like
I've eaten some pretty weird stuff in my life. Crickets doesn't really fall into that realm of for me, crickets isn't really the weirdest thing I've ever eaten.
Really?
Yeah, I've had rattlesnake, which, you know, if you're from the Southwest, maybe that's not that weird. But I've had bear and I've had shark.
See, bear doesn't seem that odd to me, and honestly, shark doesn't either.
I had
because those are at least like.
Yeah, I had bear's jerky, and that was pretty good.
See, those are at least like big cuts of meat, you know.
Well, shark's not that good because the whole animal's muscle and cartilage, so it was it's just really chewy.
That would be.
And rattlesnakes all bones.
Yeah, I would imagine there's not a whole lot of meat there.
There's really not. There's only a few things I've ever heard of in my life that I just like refuse to eat. Like, yeah, maybe one day I'll get the peanut butter burger because I want to try it, but it's one of those things that I can't try it and really like it because then I'll eat it.
Yeah, no, I understand that because I mean, you know, like just county fair food, it's just awful for you.
Oh, absolutely. But I will get a strawberry shortcake and a elephant ear every time I go to a county fair.
Yeah, so I've never. I mean, the deep fried Oreos are the worst I've ever felt after eating anything other than all you can eat sushi.
But all you can eat sushi.
That was the deep fried Oreos are the thing where like I took one bite and I thought I was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 17, man. Like I was like I should not be feeling like heart problems from a single bite of something at 17 years old.
I can like my blood feels like chalk right now. I got that after I went to the Puyallup Fair in Washington, and I had a cheeseburger between two donuts, and it wasn't like a big burger. It wasn't a slider, but it was not a big burger. But I ate that, and it was like 2 p.m, and I was a healthy 16-year-old male, and I needed a nap. It was uncomfortable being me for the subsequent rest of the afternoon.
So, the same thing that you just said, I'm pretty sure I ate a triple version of that. And man,
did yours have bacon on it? Mine had bacon on it.
I think so.
Mine had bacon on it.
I'm gonna try to find a picture of it because I know I have it saved in my Snapchat somewhere. But man, like that was easily the most painful thing I've ever eaten in my life. Like nothing is ever gonna come close to that. Like it was like 3 glazed donuts. Like maybe it was a double burger, but like either way, it was 3 donuts.
Good Lord. I can't eat 3 donuts in a single sitting, like just in general without the cheeseburgers.
Okay,
like
so
depending on what donuts they are. If they're Krispy Kremes, those
no,
melt, so I can eat those. But
it was a triple burger, 2 donuts for buns. So it wasn't like the triple bun, but
goodness.
I don't know.
It wasn't like a Big Mac donut burger.
No, I don't know. I don't know
Good
if you can
Lord.
see this very well, but
The cheese isn't melted, Brian.
no, I know it was disgusting. I could taste it very clearly.
Goodness.
Like you just know that Kraft single taste on your tongue.
Oh yeah.
Gross.
See, the problem with mine is that mine was good. It was really good. It was a good burger, and it was good cheese.
So was mine.
And it was good donuts.
Good donuts. I mean, mediocre burger. I've had better. I've made better. My dad's made better.
Oh,
I've certainly had better. Like, dude, I want to hit up Lost Lake again, man. How's Lost Lake doing? They still around?
They're still a business for sure. There's next time you come over though, there's a better burger place that I'm gonna take you to, because now that I live in Seattle proper, we're gonna go to a way better burger.
Ooh, you have me intrigued.
Best burger in the city. In fact, if you really want to, if the West Seattle Bridge is fixed by the next time you come up here, which might be a long shot given Seattle City Council's track record, but if we can conveniently get to West Seattle,
Jake Cronenworth? Jake Cronenworth?
Not quite.
Wow.
If it's fixed and it's convenient to get to West Seattle, we'll go to the 2 best burger places in Seattle.
I'm down to hit both of those in the same day. It'll give me an easier gauge. It'll give me an easier time frame to judge them on, because I'll be able to compare them side by side, so to speak.
Well, if we're gonna do both in the same day, then we're gonna have to go to we'll go to West Seattle first.
Okay.
Because if the place in Magnolia, you won't want to eat for the rest of the day. It's a burger. It's a lot of burger. And it's so good, Brian. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a jolly good time.
See, now I'm scared.
Oh no, you shouldn't be scared. You should be excited. We'll go back to Wajimaya too. We'll have a great time.
Oh man, see, the problem is that since I've been here, I eat probably worse than I did when I was back home.
I believe it.
However, I barely work out at all. I barely move anymore.
That's just 2020, man.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I was at least like pretending to work out before this. Like, I would go on a run like every day when I was back home. Like, you know, I could run for like a mile and a half or so. Like, I do that like 4 times a week. I felt good. And I ran. So obviously, like, I gotta wear my mask around the athletic facility right now while I'm working out and stuff. Yeah. I tried to run yesterday on the treadmill because it's just really hot and humid outside. Dude, I almost died.
I walk to work, and it's like 15 minutes, but it's mostly uphill to work, and I'm always walking to work about 4 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I live right on a college campus, so I always see people jogging. And the first time I saw people jogging with masks on, it was like, you know, it was March in Seattle, so It was like, you know, 45 degrees out. And I was like, that doesn't look super fun, but, you know, if you got to run, you got to run.
Yep.
But earlier this week, on Sunday, it was 98 degrees here.
Uh-huh.
Which, in my firm opinion, is way too hot. And I went outside just to spin a Pokestop. Shout out Pokemon Go players. And I went past so many people jogging with masks on in 98 degree heat. But I saw one of those dudes who was just looked like in really good shape, clearly runs a lot, spends his time in the gym. And he was sweating about as hard as I've ever seen a human being sweat. And like, I've been to Walmart plenty of times and seen a lot of really sweaty people there.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, I was like, dude, take a rest, get some water. You're about to shrivel up and die.
Yeah, I am. Working out is not my favorite thing in the world to do. I just have a philosophy.
Me neither. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, basically me too. My philosophy since I stopped playing baseball is basically just I am going to work out enough to make sure that I don't have to buy new pants.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
The ball
There's
hit
been a
pretty
lot of
well. Yeah.
warning track power balls today.
Yep.
A lot of people in this game need to hit the weight room.
Something that I refuse to do.
Something that I will not be doing in the not too distant future, or the distant future probably. I will say though, I'm surprised that Frazier managed to muscle that out as deep as he did, because that was not a great swing.
None of his swings are really that great. Honestly, if there is one guy that I would pick to go deep right now and break this tie, it would be Derek Dietrich.
Yeah, me too. He debuted on the season against the Mariners last week, and his first at bat, I think, was a home run.
I believe you're right.
I think he went 3 for 4 that day. He added a double in there too.
Me and Christian have talked about this a few times, but
who got him? Umpire says he got him.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's neither do the Padres.
Get him, Jace.
I get they're both wearing masks, but I really don't like them walking that close to the umpire.
Yeah. That had Jose Tabata vibes to it.
It did. It really did. Oh yeah, he totally just dipped it just a little bit.
I mean, it's a smart play, but
I mean, it's just, and it's one of the rule exists that, if you intentionally lean into a pitch, it doesn't count. But it's one of those ones that never gets called. So now they're gonna deliberate on it.
I mean, I always think about the rule where like you're not allowed to hit the baseball twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's like, how are you going to call that? And it's like, obviously the rule is prevented to like if you pop a ball up and like you go and hit it again.
Right.
But like technically like so like I think it was today where Vlad hit the ball twice on the same swing.
Did he really?
Or there's that other one where Hunter Pence hit it 3 times in the same swing.
I remember that.
How are you going to see that live? Like that falls under the scope of the jurisdiction of the rule, but how are you going to call that when it's live?
Yeah, exactly. And what do you call the stop play for that?
Yeah, literally, it's like, hey, you hit the ball twice, you're out. Like, what?
I mean, 50 other people on the field think that's a live ball.
As they should, honestly. Man, I have hiccups now too.
I'm sorry, buddy.
So I don't know if I've told you, but I have. Well, Gallo's gonna get to third. That throw's got to come to second. Yeah. So once baseball starts up in the spring, I am going to be broadcasting baseball for the school here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a tendency to. So when I sneeze very violently, and I can't help it. So when that happens, have you ever sneezed when you're sick and you have that dry throat and it just like really messes you up for a little bit?
Yeah.
That's how almost all of my sneezes are.
That sounds deeply unpleasant.
Yes. So I'll go through the stretches where like I sneeze and then like my throat is just like all scratchy for like 15 minutes after. And honestly, it's bothered me a little bit since like Corona happened because sometimes I'm thinking like, oh no, like my throat's scratchy, but then I'm like, wait, I sneezed like 15 minutes ago. We're fine.
Yeah.
But it's a problem that it lasts for that long because that's hard to explain to people that that's a normal thing that happens. You know?
It's just why does your voice sound so weird? Oh, I sneezed 15 minutes ago. That is the Texas lead. I got the
Wow, Tatis almost made a phenomenal play on that.
He's mad too that he didn't come down with it.
That would have been just an unreal play. I have an inherent disdain for Jose Trevino because there's
a hot mic.
The Rockies are my secondary team, obviously, but I remember specifically one game. I think it was last year. I was on a road trip with my parents, and I'm streaming the Rockies game on the road trip, and the Rockies are up 3 runs going into the 9th inning, and they're in Texas, so like they're not even in Coors. So I was like, okay, like Wade Davis has pitched pretty well on the road this year. Like I think it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Wade Davis walked 5 guys in the 9th inning and gave up a walk-off 2-out RBI single to Jose Trevino.
Ugh.
5 in the 9th. He walked 5 in the 9th.
Yikes!
Like, what are we talking about?
That really is a big. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that was the day that I decided that I didn't care where Wade Davis pitched ever again. He was probably not going to do good things if he was trying to come close out a game. And again, as we've discussed, did we discuss Brian Shaw?
I very briefly mentioned his name while we were talking about the Daniel Vogelbach designation for assignment, because yes. Brian Shaw is also designated for assignment, and now we have talked about Brian Shaw.
So I don't know. Have you heard my story about Brian Shaw and how he ruined my last trip to Coors?
Yes, I think you talked about this on. I can't remember if it was on our last broadcast or if it was off camera, but
I'm pretty
go
sure.
Ahead.
I feel like we probably talked about it on the last broadcast of the Angels Dodgers, but man, I can't get over that still. I go to Coors for the first time. It's been a few years, and Coors is just probably like that's one of my favorite stadiums in the league that I've ever.
Absolutely.
I've been to like 20 major league stadiums, and that's like a top 5 for me.
It's just such an incredible place. And I can feel like I say this pretty confidently, never having been there, but my friend Scott, who has been there, and he just describes it as just like you walk in and you're just not at all prepared for how big the outfield is.
And like on even not as on a ballpark like for baseball or like just like aesthetically. Like that is the biggest issue that you see at Coors is just the fact that the gaps are 5 miles wide.
Yeah.
It's not even the elevation. It's literally just that the gaps are 5 miles wide, and that's why there's so many high scoring games. Like today Herman Marquez gave up 10 runs and he only gave up 1 homer. It's just that there's too much ground to cover for the outfielders there, and then you just have so many more hits falling in, and that's also why you see such a high percentage of batting champions coming from Colorado.
Right, because there's such an unreasonably large amount of green to be found there.
Yeah, and it's a pretty green unless you're trying to cover it.
Yeah.
So I'm in Colorado, and Brian Shaw is just going through the just incredible stretch of blowing leads and giving up runs, and it's just like it was almost like a guarantee. Like when he came into games, it's like no pitcher should just be a guarantee to give up a run at all. Like no pitcher should, but he almost was. So I'm like almost jokingly telling my parents before the game, I'm like, if Brian Shaw comes into this game, we are going to lose. I don't care what the score is. And they kind of laughed about it. They like just thought I was trying to be funny. And I was like, ha, you think I'm joking? So fast forward a little bit. It's a classic Coors game. We're facing Arizona. I think Arenado goes deep. I think Blackman went deep. Goldschmidt went deep twice. We're up by 2 in like the 8th, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, to begin the 8th inning, out trots Brian Shaw. And he gave up a leadoff single. I was like, okay. That's fine. It's nothing yet. And then
Nobody panic quite yet.
And then he gets this little dribbler back to the mound, and all he has to do is take a step to his right, field out in front of him, like literally from follow through. He has to plant his kick leg, cross over left, pivot right, field, pivot left, throw to second, double play. Instead, he throws the pitch. I expected there to be sound with that. It was funny.
I got the quick mute finger.
I expected sound, and it was funny that there wasn't. But yeah. So then he throws the pitch. He swings his kick leg. He plants. He brings his kick leg back over, so he's squared back to the plate again. But he's not square with the ball. So then he has to reach way off to his right to try to field the ball, but he didn't square himself up to it. He's like facing this way, trying to field the ball like way over here.
Good
and
Lord.
Obviously he didn't field it. So then the ball kicks off his glove, and he still has plenty of time to just like recover and throw to first and get one out. He picks up the ball, and he just like goes into the wildest throwing motion I've seen in like forever. And he just turns and throws. He just turned and threw to a spot. And unfortunately, that spot was 20 feet up and right of Ian Desmond. So that ball sailed down the right field line, and the batter ends up on third base, and the run ends up scoring. That's one run. And then he ended up giving up I think 5 runs in that 8th inning, and he only got 2 outs.
Good Lord.
And none of those runs were earned because of the error that he made.
That's just so brutal, man.
Which is so blasphemous that you can get excused from earned runs off of your own error.
Yeah, that's pretty absurd to me as well.
I've never liked that rule.
I think that is so contradictory to what an earned run is.
That's what I'm saying. Dexter Fowler walks off the Reds. Wow.
Really?
The Reds were leading, and I honestly thought today was just going to be win day for them because Sonny Gray was pitching.
How did he throw?
Let me find out. Sonny went 6, 4 hits, 2 earned, 4 walks. Wow.
Ooh, that's uncharacteristic. That sounds a lot more like Yankees Sonny Gray.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. But I mean, 8 base runners, 6 innings isn't abysmal, and he had 6 strikeouts in 6 innings. Chris Davis launches one into right field. Raisel Iglesias came on for the save in the 9th inning, and he got one out, gave up 2 hits, a walk, and had all 3 earned runs charged to him in the 9th inning.
Yikes.
Not outstanding by Mr. Iglesias.
Not exactly ideal, I would say.
Oh, and so we had a wait, did Dexter walk it off, or what am I missing? Colton Wong walked it off. Dexter scored.
Uh-huh.
So the 9th inning went 101-mile-an-hour single on a ground ball to right field. Yadi Molina had an infield hit.
France got one. Out to left.
Ty France. And that's a drive out to left field. And that's going to go for a homer. And this game is now 6-6.
Padres refusing to die to this Rangers team, refusing to bow to them in any conceivable way.
I see London. I see France. He just hit a home run.
I'm almost positive you can do better than that.
You expect way too much of me. Man, I can definitely do better than that. Maybe not. I don't think I can do better than that while I'm on here though.
I see London, I see France, and I see his striped pants.
I was gonna say something else with pants.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
I see London, I see France. I think Chavez pooped his pants.
Ooh, might have done a bit. Might have done just a bit.
I would too if I had a ball hit that hard off of me. Thankfully, I never pitched. Can't give up home runs if you never pitched. Although
exactly.
Oh man, I've given up some dukes in my day, man. Oh baby. So there's a plate.
My pitching career didn't make it out of Little League, really. That's not true. I pitched in Babe Ruth baseball, but only a couple innings. But hey, Little League Cy Young right here.
I pitched in Little League against. In Little League, I pitched against multiple people who are now currently in the minors.
I just got one.
Yes, he did. Oh baby, there's a drive to left field.
Now that one,
and Austin Hedges.
Now that one gave the Padres the lead,
and Austin Hedges has given the Padres the lead.
Does Chris Woodward clutch his pearls over that home run? I think probably.
I'm gonna say yes because it's disrespectful to take the lead against his team.
That's what I'm saying.
I told you, Austin Hedges stopped playing that new game and he remembered how to swing a baseball bat. Oh, the helmet spike!
You love that.
Look at him.
Love that.
Oh, baby, that's hot. Look at that. That man's fired up. That ball's
he knows he got that one. Too.
Oh, yeah, dude. Did you see where that went, man? That ball
yeah, he crushed that.
I like how you can hear the dugout yelling from the left field cam.
Oh, it's so great.
I see London. I see France. Austin Hedges also hit a home run.
Sure, Brian. Sure.
I'm pretty sure nobody's listening to us right now, and I'm kind of glad that that's the case.
Peyton is. Well, it comes back with a quick K there.
Yeah, that was not a great at from Grisham.
No.
So Kirby Yates is out for the year. I don't know who the closer is for the Padres currently. A little late for this move there. A there, Chrissy?
I just think it's funny that he let him get a strikeout, then pulled him.
Then they decided, wow, you look terrible on that strikeout.
Yeah, you pounded the zone for that strikeout. You got him to strike out looking. Your day's done. Get out of there. Here's a question.
This has been a really good game, man. You look like you're just staring blankly into the screen right now.
I am, you know what I'm actually looking at right now? I'm looking at the burger place we're going to go to the next time we come up. I'm mostly doing it because I wanted to see if I could get them delivered, but they're pretty much across the city from me. And even if they weren't, they don't do delivery. And I'm certainly not driving the 25 minutes just for a burger.
I would drive 25 minutes for a burger.
Well,
Man.
I think also by the time I got out there, they'd be closed.
Oh, are you talking about?
If I left, even if
you're
I
talking
left,
about tonight.
yeah, even if I left right
I
now,
see.
by the time I got there, they'd be closed. I'm hungry, Brian. I'm a hungry boy.
No, I understand. There's a steakhouse there's a town called Pella, about 25 miles from me, and it's like, I guess it's like one of the nicer cities in this area, other than Des Moines. But I guess Pella has a pretty good steakhouse. It's a Japanese steakhouse that everybody says is very, very good. And even like looking at it, like just for me, I was like looking at pictures, and it looked really good on the pictures. And I want to try it really bad. So I was thinking, one of my friends just got a new job out there in a bar, and we're gonna go visit her. I was thinking about getting a couple of my friends together. We were talking about trying out that steakhouse too. So I was thinking about getting them together and heading out there to try that place, visit her at her new job and stuff.
You know, I had this really bad craving the other day, and I kind of find I've been getting these a little bit, where it's not necessarily that I just like, I'm in Seattle right now, so it's still just a very firm shutdown on things.
Yeah.
And just with the numbers that we have right now, I work in a restaurant, so I refuse to go out to eat right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll get takeout, but I will not dine in currently. Yeah. That's just where I'm at. But I get these cravings for specific places, and the other day I wanted Korean barbecue so bad. Like, I wanted to go sit in a place in front of the grill and just cook off a bunch of meat, eat a bunch of kimchi, drink a bunch of beer.
Yep.
That just sounded so good to me, and I was just so upset that I couldn't do it. Go out to like Fremont. There's a really good place out there. Or not Fremont. In Ballard.
I'm actually curious who they bring in to close out this game, because I have no idea who's closing for the Padres right now.
Well, the Padres broadcast is now showing off all the Grand Slams they've had this series, which I love. I'm still shocked. Like, 4 games in a row with a Grand Slam. It
just doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. It flies in the face of everything I think of when I think about baseball. That doesn't happen, and it just did less than 2 hours ago. all conventional baseball wisdom would say no. Like that can't. Not that it can't happen, but it won't happen. Uh-oh. Solak got one, and we're tied again.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
First pitch, Solak goes to deep right.
This pen is so bad, man.
Am I mistaken, or was the Padres pen like pretty good last year?
It was.
What happened? I mean, outside the loss of Kirby Yates, which is obviously a big loss, but I mean,
he was also just straight up bad. The thing is, it should be better this year because they got Pagan.
Yeah.
Who honestly I'm not too fond of, anyways. I sound like a boomer with this one, but I watched him pitch and his stuff just does not seem as phenomenal as he performed last year. And that's just my own personal opinion on him. I watched him and I was not too impressed.
You weren't impressed.
He performed well last year and I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong, and evidently maybe I wasn't.
Yeah. Sometimes your gut's right. Well, that home run is going to put ever so slightly a delay on my dinner plans for the evening. Got him looking there. Dropped it right in the top of the zone.
That was really not a good pitch.
I don't know why I didn't swing at that. I mean, that was meat, and he just fooled him, I guess. I was looking fastball.
Yeah. That was not a good pitch. I don't like Rugnador. I really don't like Rugnador.
The only likable thing he's ever done was
punch Bautista.
It was exactly right. It was just yard sale Jose Bautista.
Honestly, if I was like out on the field right now, I would just be vibing. Dude, I would just give them like one song to play, like that I would require them to play, and I would just vibe, man. If they played that song during pregame, I'd be dancing on the dugout Juan Soto style. I used to do that anyways. I can't
Oh,
dance,
yeah.
but like if like they played songs that I liked like between innings or whatever, I'd just be dancing at it short. It would look awful, but I would be.
I mean, someone's got to do it.
See, like his stuff is good, but like
He just has a problem locating it. And um, I think his pitches get called at weird times.
yeah. And Hunter Renfroe is doing it really well for himself in uh the one place, Tampa Bay.
Tampa, yeah, I mean, just it's funny because we were talking about it earlier, but Austin Meadows really came out of nowhere last season and really
Yeah.
put together a really good offensive campaign.
I feel like the
And he
Rays.
has not managed to repeat that so far this year
No, he is not.
at
Good
all.
pitch.
But Brandon Lowe, who we were talking about earlier, has picked up every bit of that slack.
Oh yeah, man. Like that the year that he's having is just seems so under the radar too.
It really is. I really wasn't aware of how good his year has been, and not just Brandon Lowe, but the other unsung guy is Anthony Santander that we were talking about earlier.
Yep. Yep.
But like I really wasn't aware of how good their seasons had been, really until last week when I was shopping on the fantasy waiver wire.
Yep.
And I was like, geez, who are these guys?
So are we feeling a walk off here?
I mean, that'd be awesome. That would be very Padres for how this season has gone, or how this series has gone, excuse me. Like just really sticking it to the Rangers at every opportunity.
Oh, and that would make there's not much that would make me happy because they absolutely deserve it.
Oh, absolutely.
If not for me now wanting the Angels to uh, get the number one overall pick, I would want the Rangers to lose every single game for the rest of the year.
Well, Chris Woodward just deserves to have to do a post-sweep press conference for this series. Like he earned that with his nonsense.
Yeah. All right. So who we got? Manny, and then Manny Hosmer Myers. Luis Garcia, who I've seen firsthand, very, very good at giving up leads. So let's see how this goes here.
You know what? If I'm going to put my money on a guy to walk it off, I got Machado, like right now.
I have Hosmer.
Next three pitches, just yard.
I have Hosmer.
Left center field.
Hosmer's been seeing the ball well today.
Next two pitches, left center field, second deck.
That was a pretty good slider.
That was good. That was a good pitch.
So Brandon Crawford hit a home run earlier today. That was his 100th career home run.
Good for him. All right, next pitch. He had to throw that strike. He couldn't walk it off on a 3-0.
It was 2-1 though.
I know he threw it. You know, there has to be a strike in the count, obviously. Ooh, that's a good pitch.
That was a very good pitch. You were like ever so slightly ahead of me, and it's making me angry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. It's been like just the slightest bit all game until like just now, and then you were like a full pitch ahead, and I don't know how.
I just paused for like 3 seconds.
Manny just called time for me.
Okay, perfect. Ooh, he wanted it.
Yes, he did.
Wow, he wanted it.
And that was the pitch to do that. That was the pitch to do it.
That really was. Just a little bit over it. All right. Well, now it's time for your bet.
I got Hosmer going deep. I'm gonna say is gonna miss outside right here. Ball 1.
Nope, that looks a little bit more like.
That simply was not even close to what I said.
Looks a little bit more like 2019 Eric Hosmer right there. All right, well, it's all up to Big William.
William.
Ha, ha, ha. That was actually funny.
I have some hits. Not many. It's like my college career, 1 for 14.
That is not deep enough.
Oh, man, he almost got that.
He thought, off the bat, he thought he had it, but it was not quite enough. All right. Well, if you're still with us, this game is going to extras, but we are not. Unfortunately, between myself, Brian, and our producer, we are representing 3 different time zones, and we all have day jobs. So thanks for tuning in if you're still here, but we are done for this evening. So enjoy the rest of the game. Have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Hope to catch you next time.